welcome to Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast, episode 186. I'm Dave Z, and I'm here with, who are you?
Oh, my name is Christian. See, I tried my damnedest not to laugh, not to smile when you introduced the show, and for the first time, I don't maybe ever, I succeeded.
See? Wow.
Yeah.
It took only 186 tries.
I don't say I'm not going to laugh like I just did. I'm just saying I had to just keep a straight fucking face for that introduction.
I was kind of
I'm
straight,
Christian.
too.
I'm Christian.
Hey, man.
For once, for you. I'm wearing this shirt, the Exploding Head shirt, not to see myself, but because Brandon's on it. And, Brandon's missed. We were just sort of talking. We had some interaction in the chat. And he seems to be in a good spot. He's been doing some really cool things. And so
Family
hopefully that's
stuff.
positive news. That's positive news. We didn't push. But hopefully it's positive news. And you know why? I've been listening when I put the old shows up for mainstream, like when it goes on to the regular ones, I just listen to make sure everything's good, because sometimes there's been some issues where they won't upload or the file didn't upload properly. Anyway, then I hear Brandon's jokes, and man, that's why we mentioned a couple episodes back, he can't be replaced.
No.
A special brand of comedy.
A special Brandon of comedy, to be exact. And a V joke right on there. See? But it's true. And I had to listen to one of our shows not too long ago because I was making what the hell was the reason for it? I had to dip back. It was either because I was doing something for another podcast and I didn't have time to rewatch the movie, so I just decided to go back and listen to my views the last time I watched it. And I kind of did it that way. A little cheating, but honestly, most people that podcast don't always watch the movie every time if it's something they've seen a bunch of times. I try to. There are certain instances where I just can't get to it. And if that is the case, I can rely on my old notes. Even if I don't have my notes in here, I have them out there in the internet to listen to. So I can. It's funny because I'll literally listen to what I'm saying. Then I'll jot down my thoughts as I'm listening to the podcast. Oh, yeah, okay, I'll say this. I'll say this again. You know what I mean? I'll bring back some of my old points, and then I'll take things from you guys, some things you say. I'll say, oh, yeah, okay. And then that's what I do. So I was listening to one of our shows, a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh, yeah. And the same thing. I listened back to it, and it's like, man, lots of fun. And he is irreplaceable. And there's nothing we can do if he doesn't come back. There's no way there could be a permanent third host. It's not even, I don't think. Even if we wanted to name one, we talked about this or that, or different people that we like, or having a female as a third or something. How cool that could be to get that perspective every show. But I know we'll cross that bridge if we come to it. But the way I see now, I don't know. It's kind of irreplaceable. But
I just want to be able to say, stop being such a fucking cunt, and it actually offend the person, as opposed to you. I'm just kidding.
Funny thing is, most of the females we know.
All jokes, everybody, all jokes.
Our friends may not be offended by the C word.
Are you kidding me? They'd fire it back at me tenfold.
Nah, I'll tell you what. Some of them, but other ones, maybe not. They're not as uptight as you may think. Some of our females.
Oh, I didn't think any of them were uptight.
I know that. No, I turned to the wrong phrase. Maybe not uptight was the wrong word, because it isn't uptight, because if I was a female and I was called a C, I'd be, I don't know if I get angry about it, because I don't get angry about what people say, but I wouldn't like it. So I get that. It's not somebody being uptight, but I look at it this way. We don't have even though people may have certain opinions about certain things, not all, most of the female podcasters we know, I just can't see getting too upset about a joke like that. You know what I mean? They all seem to be to go with the flow.
I mean, if it's done in a joke form, yeah. If you're coming at it aggressively, of course, it would offend anybody.
Have you ever been aggressive?
And rightly so. Have I ever been aggressive?
No, to each other.
Well, not seriously. I mean, maybe in the heat of the moment when we're talking about with passion about our like or dislike of a movie or something. Disrespect may come out, but again, I don't think there was ever any weight behind it. It was probably thrown out more as a joke or for emphasis to prove a point. I don't think never maliciously, not between us. And again, in the broader picture, even when we were ragging on VHS collectors and whatever, that was probably the most aggressive we've ever gotten, and it was all still big juicy tongue in cheek for the most part. For the most part.
Well, and the funny part about that is, as it was happening online, I was doing my best to be the peacemaker the whole time. So I don't say anything in person. If I do say something, it will be on this show. But even that, I've scaled back all kinds of things. You know what I mean? Like I was having a conversation. Frankie brought up something yesterday, which I thought was quite funny, but also kind of political. And I was like, well, should I share this or something? I said, nah, don't even bother. It doesn't matter. I can live my life this way, or I can live it this way. I choose to live it this way. That's it. That's my attitude about everything. Everything is a choice. The way you want to, things that come at you, what you do with that is a choice. And I feel like I've had a recent revelation. This has maybe happened 6 times in my life.
I love you and your revelations. What is this one?
No, it's just a revelation on having the right attitude in general about everything is what it is. And here's the thing. I usually get them. It's happened like maybe 6 times in my life, like I said. And I'll be in a real good mindset for like a month. And then something will happen, and the domino effect will jump in, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, well, I'll go back to being me, who's usually a cool guy, but sometimes I spout off at the mouth, and sometimes I get angry and short-tempered, and then that leads to the domino effect with me. It does happen.
But that's self-aware, though. At least you're aware of it, and you want to be better, so that you realize it. You're like, oh, here I go again. Okay, I have this revelation. I gotta be better. And so I joke again, throwing it out to you like, oh, I love your revelations, whatever. But you've said this on the show before, and I think that comes from a good place, meaning you're aware of it and you want to be better. I mean, if most people were like that, we'd have less problems in the world. The problem is most people don't want to change. Can't teach an old dog new tricks and all this stuff. And I'll fall on into that for certain things, but I'm open to anything. Like, I don't care. I make fun of the pronoun thing nowadays. I really don't care, though. And again, I don't say I don't care to dismiss it and be dismissive of it. I just say, the big picture doesn't affect me. I just find it amusing. And if we can't joke, because that's my biggest fear, is that they're going to strip away any comedy when it comes to anything like that, then that's where we have the bigger problems. Because you've got to be able to poke fun, make fun of any and everything. But of course, I understand being sensitive to the nature, and if it's a bullying effect or if it's hurting somebody specifically, I get it. But if it's an oversensitivity because you're directing it at a larger aspect, then get over it. Because again, depending on if it's not coming from a place of hate, then laugh. Learn to laugh. The world will be much a better place. But if it comes from a place of hurt or hate, then we've got problems, and that's the difference. And I think some people are able to distinguish that, and other people can't, or don't want to, and that's the difference, and that's the division. There's comedy, and then there's hate. Well, there's a lot of in between, but I think you know what route I'm going down.
But the thing is, some things are just an act too. You know what I mean? Some people, it's not necessarily hatred. It's more of a darker form of comedy. Like we, being horror fans, we are subjected to more dark comedy than probably anybody, because we see these certain types of movie that are very, you know what I mean? Like, average Joe walking in and seeing it on your screen, they're not going to get like maybe any humor out of that. Well, what's so funny about this? Somebody died. This, they might not get zero humor, but we can watch this stuff, some dark humor type horror movies, and think, okay, I get that. That's funny. Or, he got his head, somebody got their head cut off while giving head or something. Just stupid things.
2 movies tonight. Both movies, one goofy and one more serious, and there's funny in both. Like when Seth Brundle vomits onto his donut to be able to eat it in front of Gina Davis, she's like, oh, that's disgusting.
Right.
Like he even realizes it after doing it and whatever. Like I laugh. It's just the way it's like so over the top. But hey, I don't want to jump the gun, but we've got some cool movies to talk about later.
We do.
Have you checked out, again, I haven't watched the whole movie, but I've rewatched the opening of this movie 3 times now, and I can't stop fucking laughing, and it's on Shudder. It's a French film called Blood Oranges. I think it's what it's called, Blood Oranges.
It's what, 2022?
But it's 2022, 2 hours long. I don't even know the premise of the movie because I didn't even look at the description. But it opens up. Like, I mean, other than I clicked on it saying 2022, let me watch it. And so far, I'm like, I don't know when this is going to turn because I probably watched the first 20 minutes or so and I fell asleep. But the first 5 minutes ish, right when the title credit comes on, I've watched 3 times and I can't stop fucking laughing. It almost seems like What You Do in the Shadows, not that shaky cam stuff. It's in French, so it's subtitled, and it's filmed more of like a traditional style movie. But it's a group of people at a table discussing like the fate of how to judge a dance and then the. I swear they're scripted and then there's improv. There's no question that there's improv as part of this exchange. And it just builds and builds and builds. And it's not necessarily laugh out loud funny, yet at the very end of it, I laugh out loud every time. And it's this woman who just, her passion and her speech, you can tell she's ad-libbing, and they catch it right at the end. The 2 actors that are in the frame with her just start like breaking character. They start laughing at her reaction because of how passionate she is. And that alone, I've tried to describe this, probably not doing a great job of it now, because I tried to describe it to my wife. My wife's like, just humoring me in the car going, yeah, sounds great. Yeah, drive and focus on the road, Christian. And then, and I don't know if I'm doing a big job, but if you haven't seen it, or if you have seen it, chime in. I don't know what the rest of the movie holds, because it seems to be one conversation piece after another, and I don't know where the horror kicks into it as of yet. But like I've mentioned last show and the last couple shows, Shudder's been doing that where it's more thriller or more fringe. Again, that word, adjacent, as you like to say, horror, where like it may kick in at the very end. But I don't know yet. But all I'll say is that damn opening makes me laugh.
Interesting. I'm trying to find this movie. There is a movie called Bloody Oranges. Is it
maybe
Bloody?
That's it. Bloody Oranges. Bloody Oranges. Blood Oranges is actually a thing.
Yeah, there's a couple other movies called Blood Oranges from the past, 97 and 2016. There's another one here from 2017. So so Bloody Oranges does come up here. One person has given it 2 stars on my letterbox. Nobody else has seen it. It doesn't even say that it's on Shudder. This says comedy, crime, drama. And here's the funny thing. When I look at it on Shudder, the description in the actual thing says, warning, naughty comedy. So this may not turn to horror at all. I don't know.
It's on Shudder Canada. So maybe I should specify that. It's on Shudder Canada. And I've been watching all the new releases, and I keep thinking, so remember I said I'm going to be very, like, I'm going to hold off. I'm only going to watch, like, maybe the heavy hitters. And so I'm already at 50-something movie watches. It's not Mark Nato numbers or Scott or Heather Parsay. I don't know what their numbers are this year. But where I'm going with it is it's more than I thought I was going to do. And Shudder keeps churning out every week. It seems like they got 1 or 2 more 2022 horror films. So I don't know if this is horror because, yeah, you're right. Even on the B, it says comedy, crime, drama as well. But it's on Shudder, and it seems to be maybe because it's maybe it's like Big Bad Wolves or something like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, I love that movie. Right.
Maybe? Well, I don't know. I'll tell you when I see it, but I laughed my head off at the beginning. But again, it's that special brand of comedy that might not be for everybody. I'm not talking Psycho Gorman comedy. This is more
that's different,
subtle. What you do in the not even what you do in the shadows, because I don't know if that you could call that subtle, but it's just dialogue driven, people acting, and like I said, most likely improv and I love that. And
yeah. Well,
I'm thinking about laughing.
It's as Rocky would say, you got me curious, you know? No. Who said that first? Yeah, I think Rocky said it, and then Apollo said it back to him. You got me curious. Yeah. So
it's just like that.
Yeah, you got me curious.
But I'm Apollo.
You're Apollo. What is this? Okay. You can be Apollo.
Yeah.
That's all. I'll be
Rocky.
Apollo.
Really.
I'll be Rocky. I'm fine being Rocky. I love Rocky. So Shudder Amazon channel, which means you can get it through the other thing, but not the regular Shudder in the States. So that's why. It's probably because it's a French thing. It's Canada first, maybe. Maybe it's going to come here. Well, right. It's a French movie.
I think it's French Canadian. but it's
well, that's what I'm saying though. It's a French-speaking movie. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, there's ties to Canada before there are the States. That's all I'm saying because French Canadian. So there's no Canada like French Canada. So
that would make more sense why there's only maybe one review then, because that person either possibly is Canadian or has access to a screener or bootlegged it. One of the three. But
he recently
again,
watched it too.
They recently watched it. So it's been 2 nights in a row. And the first night I watched that opening scene twice because I was just like, this is making me, this is really ridiculous. Like, this is funny stuff, but it's different. It's not like set up punchline. But there's even interjections that I'm like, where did that come from? And everything. It's just, again, I can't even comment on if it's horror or if it even turns horror. But did you ended up watching that Invite movie or Who Invited
Them? Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the one I was talking about last week, that it's kind of thriller-esque. It's all set up, and in the last 2 minutes, it becomes a horror movie?
Well, I mean,
5 minutes?
guess I would consider it horror anyway, but it's impending. It's uncomfortable.
There's an atmosphere, there's a mood, but it's not like it's all set up. So where you might think a first act turn would be in order, this seems to be the realm of it now. They're doing it past the second turning point. Almost, it's almost a climax is what turns it to a horror. And I'm saying that this in a few of the movies, like even that The Watcher, great movie.
I saw that too.
Love the movie. And that one again, it's about a killer. She's great. The girl from It Follows, and you get that feeling because it's about a serial killer haunting this town. So it's there. There's an aura to it. But the way the movie plays out is not traditional horror. And
Correct.
You go through the whole thing, and then it's the climatic moment that kind of turns it from thriller, and I think easily puts it in a horror realm because most thrillers would have gone that route.
True. No, and I dig both of these movies.
As did I. Yeah.
I enjoy the ride. This is like a movie. This is like a Dave Z movie. Like, I enjoy the tension in a small cast for a long time, and then shit hits the fan in the final act or in the climax where you know it's coming. Like, there's a feeling of being uncomfortable where something's just beneath the surface. Maybe not so much in Watcher because we're kind of living with her, but it's like, is she or isn't she? What's going on? So there is that, which I dig. But this movie in particular, Who Invited Them, is more my kind of movie because it's like that movie, The Rental, and it's like other movies where I like a small cast. Give me 4 people. If they can pull it off and there's tension, I'm into it because something's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, and it's so uncomfortable. And again, the characters are interesting enough, like right from jump.
George Glorious too. This is what I'm saying.
Yes,
it was all those movies in a row. Glorious, The Watcher, Who Invited Them, and there was probably another one. The Watcher has a little bit bigger of a cast. It's a little bit more vast, but it's still there's still quite a few scenes within like her isolated or just 1 or 2 characters. But I'm just saying the other ones are definitely bigger examples, which is what brought me to the realization of we're being too ambitious. I said, ambitious is not a bad thing, but I also want to deliver. I want to deliver on that ambition. And that's what got me thinking that we've got to approach our movie differently and do the smaller cast, because just seeing the success of how these ones played out and how you can keep attention. Well, again, it's relative on the script and the acting chops of the people involved to be able to help deliver it, as well as the direction. But I mean, the small cast thing, I'm with you, man. I like that. It's intimate. You get to know them more, and it's good. I've been on a roll. I've watched a couple of bad slashers on Tubi, but one of them I actually enjoyed. I was going to mention it to you, and enjoyed is relative. Again, if we were to do a full-fledged review, I'd probably be shitting on it as much as I appreciated it. But it's called Requiem for a Scream. Requiem for a Scream. It's generic as hell. But what they did is, if I don't know the budget of it, but it reminded me of like a Happy Trails Escape. It felt like they just a group of kids go up to a summer home and they play. There's the usual to try to make them 3-dimensional. They give them all these other things, but it doesn't play out more. It's not a traditional slasher. There's slasher kills. There's a killer in a mask, but they play it out a little bit differently than the usual slasher fare. Is it great? Nope. But if you're a fan of slashers and you want a modern slasher to watch, it beats their other to-be original, which was Toe, which I thought was total garbage with Kane Hodder in it. That one was not good. Not very good at all. It's just really badly filmed and edited as well. Just dragged out, even though it's a short movie. Whereas Requiem for a Scream at least tries to be more like a real movie and has decent enough acting and a decent enough script to carry it along. So it's a small recommend for those that are a little bit more forgiving of low budget and want a slasher film. Doesn't really tread new territory, but it's a fun and enjoyable. And if you're a slasher fan, that should all be what you need, because let's face it, very few slashers treaded new territory. Very few.
Right? Yeah, true.
It's the tried and true that we like. It's that formula that has to exist that makes it fun, and then what they do with the formula to tweak it a little bit.
Man, I gotta put some in. I gotta put this in, or at least look into it, because I'm always down to see a slasher.
Some people might say maybe I was in a forgiving mood because I watched Toe and then I watched this. So again, I caution, it's not by any means a great film, but it was a perfect enough time waster and a decent enough slasher. There are things that obviously irked me about it, but it kept my interest and I watched it all the way through.
Requiem for a Scream. I'm going to look this up on this thing here and see on Letterboxd.
Oh, the artwork, it wouldn't pass your artwork.
Oh, no? Am I spelling the word Requiem wrong? No, there's that extra in there. Okay. Requuiem. No, that is how I spell that. Requuiem. Requiem. Oh, I guess I just typed it wrong. For a Scream. Let's see. I tell you, I cannot type to save my life. There it is, 2022. A 3.5 from Jason Lloyd and a 3.5 from somebody else. And you didn't give yours. Smoke Show. Oh, here's the problem there. If Smoke Show gives it a 3.5, he gives everything a 4 and higher. That's odd.
Okay, well, I would say that this is a 3 out of 5.
Okay.
6 out of 10. A 6 out of 10. It passes.
And but you're a slasher guy, yeah, right? So you want to see it.
But, right. Yeah. I mean, it was. You know what? At first, I was like, "Oh, are they not going to deliver on the gore?" And again, it's not like it's a very bizarre. It's a very bizarre premise, and for that alone, I would possibly check it out. But I thought at one point they were going to deliver on the gore, and then this one kill comes out of the blue, and you know what? They do 3 successful gore moments that I think elevate the movie. So it was definitely worth checking out.
I'm definitely going to probably check it out. I'm definitely going to probably. That's funny. Well, I'm going to try. I'm going to try that. It's going to go on my watch list so I don't forget it. But see, there are some movies, like I said, you're a slasher guy, I'm a slasher guy. There are certain movies that I will recommend for slasher people or found footage people. I like to say, if you're an enthusiast of this, you may want to check it out. I don't say completist, because I don't think you can be a slasher or a found footage completist. I think it's impossible to be a completist for every slasher ever made, or every So like an enthusiast, to me, the difference is this: a completist wants to see everyone, even the shitballs, right? That's what a completist would be to me. Yeah. No. Okay, like an enthusiast is someone that
the fucking shitball
enjoys a slasher or a found footage movie, right? Maybe more than the average person does. So hey, you may be a little more forgiving, and this might, you might enjoy your time with it. That's the way I feel. I think an enthusiast is a better word. Like a completist is like, it's a whole different thing. Because I'm not a slasher completist, I promise you. Even for the 80s. No, there's too many shitballs. I'm not going to spend my time with them. You know what I mean? Same thing with found footage. There's too many shitballs there. I try to search out something. I love that term. Isn't that? Yeah, you started it, right? Shitball?
I don't know. I just heard it back. It's funny to me. Which would make sense that I came up with it then.
Well, of course. We do laugh at our own jokes here. We do. Oh, but speaking of that
especially me.
iTunes. Yeah, well, yeah, all of us. But iTunes, get on there and give us a rating, please. I don't ask much. We don't ask much, but please do. We're getting closer to some good numbers that we like to see. And somebody, please. We're like 2 away from 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I heard that things happen when you hit that 1,000 mark. I don't know how true they are. But throw us a bone. Just even if you never ever go on YouTube, just go in there and look us up and hit the damn subscribe button. It's there. It's so easy. Just do it for us. We'll be ever so grateful. I'm curious to see what happens after this 1,000 if it's true. So we'll see about that. And
make a post in our Exploding Heads regular page, because that's where, there's people that may have not done that yet. Whereas we're talking to our the core group here that are pretty much family.
This is true. Yeah.
When this comes out into the masses and it's not Patreon exclusive anymore, then, but hopefully by that point we'll be above 1K.
I should hope at this. 1K. Yeah. 1K. Yeah, that's when the magic happens, they say. So, we'll see what goes on there. And we do have a Twitter. I brought the Twitter back. I think I told the story about what happens with the Twitter if you lay dormant for too long.
The Twitter back.
Because here's the thing.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah, you get boned. You can't come back after a month. So I had to start a new one.
So weird.
Because I want to promote this and that and the other thing, and because of the new podcast I'm doing. They're all Twitter crazy, those people.
What is the new podcast? Sorry, I haven't been in the loop. So that's what I wanted to ask you.
It hasn't dropped yet, but however, I did a recording with them yesterday. No, and he told me that it's going to come out maybe even today. So by the time this hits the airwaves, I think we should be. I'm glad I didn't say anything last week. You know what I mean? Because he was like initially, I'm going to release it on Wednesday. So, but he teased it on another show. So the thing is this. I joined that show, Jay of the Dead's new horror movies. Remember when Watson was talking about?
That's the one, yes. Yeah. And that's what I assumed, because the way that I think you described it on the show in the past, the exact same way you described the show that you joined secretively last time. And I'm like, I figured it was one of them. Okay, cool, man. And because you said they rotate hosts, or the way they do it, it's not like it's like you're on it, but you're not. It's not a full-time commitment.
Well, this is what's great about it. Okay, everybody has their own segment. So now there's 9 of us, and we're stopping at 9. There's 9 people that can be on the show. Okay, and what happens is everybody has their own segment that they have to put in, like one segment per, I don't want to say month, whatever, right? So you do that, and then, like, for example, I watched we have a text going, and somebody says, hey, has anybody seen We're All Going to the World's Fair? And I have already told you that I've seen it and that you may not like it and everything else and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, I've seen it. I'll talk about it. And they said, okay, we'll talk about it this day. So Jay likes to be there whenever he can. So Jay is there, and then I got to
be the host.
Right, being the host. So the thing is that he was gonna do it, so he watched it, and I watched it a second time because I gotta take notes. I'm not taking notes for any 2022 until it comes time for the second watch, because I'm just not going to. Because if I look at my rating and I want to watch it a second time, that means it has a chance to make the list. So now I'm going to take the notes. So I'm really trying to do it a different format this year. And, so far so good. I'm watching just the right amount for the year. So all that's going great. So yesterday, a couple days ago, the text comes in. And this was from, who was that? Was that Joel? Hold on. Kyle. No, it was from Kyle, a.k.a. Dr. Walking
Kyle.
Dead. Okay, so Kyle comes in and goes, has anybody seen this? Yeah. So he comes in, has anyone seen it? And I said, yeah, I saw it. And then Jay's like, yeah, I saw it. I'll watch it anyway. So bottom line is, yesterday, the 3 of us got together. Me, Jay, and Kyle. First time I ever recorded with Kyle. And Kyle's an academic. He's a professor, actually. So he has different takes on different things.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. All back.
Awesome.
My PhD in flatulence.
Amazing. So Jay's like, he goes, here's the thing.
What do you get?
Sorry. Oh, yeah. Because you have Dave Z here. He considers me like a master manipulator, or someone that can talk people into things, and I have a way of doing this. And then he goes, he's so smooth, and he'll always give you a reason why. So he's putting me over, and he's like, he got Dave Z here. He's a legend because of this. So this is one of the reasons. And he goes, and then we have you. You're academic, and you have your set and your things, and I'm going to see how this goes. Maybe I want to see if he can persuade you the way he can persuade other people. Well, we end up seeing eye to eye on the movie anyway, so it didn't matter. But the bottom line is this: we sat down yesterday at 6:00, and we recorded for 45 minutes, and got off, and that's a segment. Now today, there's another thing going on today at 5:00. about that new movie Barbarian. And Jay said earlier in the week, he goes, everybody try to go see Barbarian. If we're going to talk about it Sunday. Okay. Well, I tried yesterday. I couldn't. My daughter had to get her hair done again. This, that. I was running around cleaning. I was doing too much. I finally texted him. I said, well, I'm not going to be able to make Barbarian. He goes, you have a 2022. I said, yeah, I'm watching Who Invited Them, and I'm almost done with it. And he goes, okay, you want to talk about that? I'm like, fine, great. So now I'll get to go on, and anyone who's watched our 2022 will just get on there and do a mini review, talk about it for 10 minutes and see if anybody's seen it, talk a little bit, do this, this, and this. And then at the end of it, okay, now it's time to talk about Barbarian. If you haven't seen it, peace out, because you don't want to be spoiled. And that's it. Yeah. And that's how another recording goes. But yeah, that's the good thing about it is I want to be on as much as possible now, because I'm new to it and I want to get to know everybody. You know what I mean? And plus listeners that don't know me that well, you know what I mean? That they're going to put eyes on my other shows too, which I already have eyes on my shows because of Watson, because of Watsy, yeah. You know what I'm saying? But still, it's a lot of fun.
You lost me at academic, just to let you know.
Well, you got all kinds of different people on the show. It's great,
Speaking of Watson, how cryptic is this?
Uh-oh.
He messaged last week, Wednesday. Hi, C. I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? Nothing. So is he okay?
He's just fine. He's busy. But the thing is, let me tell you about Watson. Where he works sometimes, it's very bad reception because of the places he goes, and he's in different places. Some of them, it's just the way it is for him. So sometimes he thinks he has reception, and then, he walks over here or goes, and then he's like completely off the grid for like 12 hours. It's crazy with his job.
Well, I thought he was pulling a me, just checking in, making sure everything's good, which I appreciate.
Well, yeah.
But then when I didn't get a response, I'm like, oh shit, is everything cool or whatever? But that's probably it. He probably just reached out on a break or whatever like that, had reception or whatever it may be, and then got pooched.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to ask him about that. High C. That's great. High C, like the drink.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what he does. That's what he says. But yeah, and then went nowhere because he's on that show too, right? He's part of the 9.
Yeah, he's one of the original Horror Avengers. Yes. Yep, bringing them together.
No, we're not calling them the Horror Avengers.
That is what it's called. That's what the Twitter's.
Oh my lord.
That's what it calls them, Mad Horror Avengers, because it's bringing everyone together. It's a fun thing.
Lost again.
No, it's
I was in and now I'm out again.
You'd like it if you listened. I'm telling you, you'd like the show. Maybe not every single host. I can't promise you that because there's 9 people that come in and out. It's hard to say. But if you had time to stop in and listen to the people you like, and you know what I mean, and the review, then you dig it because there's so many different, like me with my slasher thing. Everyone has like a different thing. Watson has a thing where he does different lists. Jay has something called It Could Happen to You. It's like horror that it's based on real life things, and everybody's got like a gimmick. You know what I mean? So we did one the other day because someone else joined when I joined. We're number 8 and 9, and Ron Martin from the Resurrection of Zombie 7, which is the cool podcast because what they do is all franchises in a row. And they discuss everything.
These fucking titles of shows. What was it called?
It's called. Well, that's the joke though. It's a franchise thing. The Resurrection of Zombie 7. That's the name of the show. So, but I think it's coming to an end. But he got asked to join this one, which is great.
So I worry about my doctor of flatulence, my PhD of flatulence, but that's the joke.
Well,
I'm okay. I'll be okay.
Yeah, you are okay. Yeah. So that's what it is, and that's what he does. And his thing is like a controversial opinion thing. So he's gonna come out and give like a controversial opinion and back it up and say this and this.
On a movie?
On anything horror related.
On anything.
No, horror, of course. Yeah, horror movie related. So last week he was talking about how the Halloween franchise is overrated, especially Halloween 4. And I was like, oh, you've come to the right place. And then Watson said the same thing. So for us, it wasn't controversial, but for the general people out there in horror, it is. And he started talking about this and this and that. And he goes, so it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. But that's what he's going to be. So I have, little controversial opinions. That's his gimmick. But everybody has their thing they bring to the table. And it's quite cool. So anyway, I started all that because of Twitter. Okay? Go on our Twitter now. We got to rebuild the Twitter. The Twitter is now called @HeadsHorror. @HeadsHorror. That's what they gave me. I said, that's got a good ring to it, Heads Horror. Okay, boom. So I took it. You know what I mean? It's still Exploding Heads. Hold on. Is movie in it? Because it may not have been last time, because it was the early days of the podcast before we threw movie in and got wise. And where the hell is it? Again, I thank Jay for that, because his first show was called Horror Movie Podcast, and that's how you get discovered. It just happened to be a great show as well, but I was like, we got to put movie in our thing. That's what you do for search engine. That's why the new show is called Jay of the Dead's New Horror Movies. The idea being, when you search new horror movies online, it's going to link you to this podcast. See? Smart. He's smart about that. And there's going to be an ad in Fangoria for October.
Did the academic come up with that, or Jay?
No, Jay on his own. Jay's a good.
Kyle didn't. Was it Kyle? I'm getting all confused now. Brad? Who is it?
Brad.
Is there a Brad?
There's no Brad. There's no Brad. There's another Dave. It is Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast. Okay, that's what it is on Twitter now, so that's good, and it's at Heads Horror. So get on there, because we don't have much going on, but I want to get some of the old crowd back and start doing more networking, and there's other people that I'm talking to, which is cool. So it's fun, lots more going on in that department. Between me constantly adding up for show 200, it's been taking a little bit of my, my spare time away. So.
Well, that's good. I mean, hey, better you than me. I said this is it. This is going to be the show, and if I ever do the last 4 episodes of TJF, so be it. I gotta keep the podcasting to a minimum, in the sense of focus on this.
Dig it. No, that's great.
Jackhammer, fuck this only.
Yeah, well, hey, I can dig that. We just recorded a Watsy last weekend too. So here's the thing, though. Again, my wife she's back and forth. Last week she wasn't here at all. She just got home late last night, which explains why my neck isn't shaved, why my face isn't shaved, and all that stuff, because she wasn't here to.
Oh, I thought you fucked all night that you just couldn't shave.
No, if I fuck, I have to shave, because my whiskers tickle when I'm doing
fuck and shave at the same time.
If I ever had to rush that way again, these days I probably couldn't. I probably go soft as I'm trying to shave, because it ain't like being 20. Right? You got to have your.
I would like to see that. Yeah, you film a video of that.
Well, where would I put the mirror? On her tits? Like
shave fucking? I don't even know.
I could tape the mirror to her tits, look down.
Yeah.
Shave fucking.
That'd be awesome, though, because it would be looking like you're fucking yourself.
True. Yeah, it'd be like. That'd be kind of hot. I might do it. I might try to shave.
Like that. I'm fucking myself. I'm masturbating, but like with a big mirror above you. It'd be fantastico.
Hey man, I've done it. You know what I mean? And I've done the flex. You know what I'm saying? You can't forget it.
While you're masturbating or having sex?
Not masturbating. No, there's nothing special about
me.
No, yeah. Imagine this. I'll tell you, if it was that long, I might, though, because then I really have reason to celebrate. Yay, me. Yeah. If I could hold up my hand and flex and keep my piece in my hand the whole time.
Oh, you're flexing like, with you.
Yeah, me. As I'm
There's something so wrong with us. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, me.
Holy shit. That would be something. That would be something. I'm gonna shave. Oh, you could do it doggy style. You could put it on her ass, or you know what I mean? Put the mirror there and an ashtray in front of it and smoke it.
Run it by her. Run it by her. Maybe for like Valentine's Day or something like that. You can maybe set that up.
Mama,
do a special YouTube video.
I wonder if someone's done that. I wonder if someone's done that. You never know on like Pornhub, you know what I mean? Because you see, let's not go down that again. We're talking about porn every fucking week. Can't do it.
I could just see Chris A.K. Scott was like, no. Oh, okay, they stopped.
Nope.
Like he was just fucking again.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to talk about porn.
I got Gary Miller reached out to me, joking about me shitting on his list, because I said the Prey was going to be on his list, no questions asked. I love it. This is what it's all about. I love when people interact and comment, whether it's just a throwaway thing or whether it's about something that was said or something that they hate or something that they love, whether it be on Messenger, whether it be on the actual pages and Patreon, whatever it may be. It's always great. We get some pretty great feedback as well.
Right. And I've been around more on the Facebooks and stuff. You know what I mean? I figured This is what I've noticed. I'm not seeing things that are like bothering me so much on Facebook anymore. I get bothered more listening to podcasts. That's where I hear more. It's
why?
That's Well, because people that are on podcasts love to give their political opinion, and even if they're not giving their political opinion, when they're talking about something else, I know where it's coming from. You know what I'm saying? I know why they feel that way, and they'll throw a little quip in there about something, because usually like-minded folks are together doing a podcast, and they'll just throw a line out there, and I'm just like, it's kind of cringy that you think that way, but what are you gonna do? You know what?
I mean, I think we've done that to a certain degree, but I think we've tried to toe the line so that we don't fall into the trap. But I wouldn't say that we're in the past. I think we may have done it and whatever. But again, I don't think we wear it on our sleeve day in, day out. Every show, it's popped up. It's
right.
popped up. But I mean,
well, and I have no affiliation. I have no allegiance. I don't like either side. But the thing is, lately though, one side is louder than the other, so there's a little more vitriol directed towards that side. And the funny thing is, in the past, it was the other side that was the loudest, and I had more vitriol. You know what I'm saying? I'm spitting in that direction more because I'm like, man, oh man, this is annoying. And now it's switched. The pendulum has switched, and now these people are loud as hell. Even when they're winning, they're loud. Which, see, in the past, it was always whoever was losing was loud. Right? Even these people, they can't lose one little thing. One little thing goes against them, and it's, oh my God, what's happening to this country? Anyway, let me get off it. I just try to stay in my bubble. Stay, like I said.
That was my fault to drag you.
Well, see.
Uh-oh. Did I lose you?
Yeah, we're dragging a little bit. There's a little lag, a little drag. I even see it with you, though. I even know that you were primarily in one direction when we've talked about this stuff, but things you have been saying the last couple months, and I'm seeing this more and more with people coming from that side. They're like, okay, now it's getting a little too much. That's kind of like what I've been preaching. Now it's getting a little bit too much. And
that's the problem. It's extremes on both sides. I've always said, and I'll just say it. I don't care. We said we're going to avoid it, but I didn't. I'll say it. I've always leaned more liberal. Except now, shut up. Shut up.
Thank you.
Because now what's happening is it's gone to extremes, and the extremes are what's pissing me off. Because I'm like, this is the problem. Everybody talks in extremes now, and I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. Just
buddy.
Both sides, shut up.
Oh yeah, sure, both sides.
You. And that's exactly it. And I'd still say that that's the side I tend to lean on, but it drives me crazy because they're being very vocal and very ridiculous, but it's the loudmouths on both sides that really irk me to no end. And it doesn't matter which side you reside on because it bothers the hell out of me from either side.
I know. Oh, it bothers the hell out of me from either side too. And I would say that out of 10 topics, I'm left on 6 out of 10. That's the way. So I guess I do still lean left. But I mean, again, it's a whole different thing than it was 10 and even 20 years ago, where the values held by both sides have somehow been, I don't know, they've merged in some ways. And it's like, well, once upon a time, you guys stood for this, this, and this, and you guys stood for this, this. Now, all of a sudden, I'm seeing a little switcheroo, a little of this. It's I don't know, it's odd. You know what I mean? But anyway, but yeah, a lot of it is cringy. And like my daughter was just like saying things, like I said, she was saying things yesterday. She's like, man, I'm seeing this and that. And as a mixed child, she didn't say, but as someone who's mixed, that, you know, that is Caucasian and black, you know what I mean? She talks about it. And she's like, when I see white people doing this, this, and this for blacks, I'm just like, you're just trying too hard. It's cringy to me. And that's what she said. And I'm just going to leave it at that. But she says she sees a lot of this, and it's just like, all right, you don't need to kiss our ass that bad. And she's like, and, you know, people, you know, anyway, I won't even get into it. It's like what I say, but I always sum it up with this, and this is what I told her. Stop trying to talk for black people, and instead listen to them. Listen to them, because I talk to plenty.
That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem too. Like you're saying that. Like this is why I I believe what I believe, which is typically what I think is the right shit in my mind anyway.
Right.
But I try not to voice everything that's in my thought process because I would be offended if I was black. I'd be like, support and shut up.
Right.
I don't need to have I
don't even worship.
Black, like, it becomes. It becomes like you're like going, oh, you're just jumped on the bandwagon almost and whatever. And unfortunately, there's a lot of that. And then there's probably just a lot of legitimate people out there that are trying to do the right thing or be better and do things correctly. But again, it's just, maybe don't be the most vocal then. Let the most vocal be the ones that are actually fighting the fight, and you could just support. And maybe that's the wrong attitude. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just thinking that, like, from that standpoint, again, I'm not black. I didn't grow up black, so why? Like, I agree. I agree with a lot of the things, but I'm not going to be going rah rah rah. This is how it should be. It's not my place to be doing that. You guys do that. You've got the speakers. You got everybody else perfect done, and you've got my support. That's it.
Well, everybody has my
support. Right, wrong. I don't know. Right, wrong, I don't know, but I'm just saying that's the way I believe. I just think that's it. And all these ones that are jumping on it and like have to go to like everything, whether it's at that rally or whether it's a Trump rally or whether it's a Biden rally or whatever like that. It's just like, who, like, just show your, can't you just support from afar?
Oh, right. Wouldn't it be, life would be so much better. Society would be so much better. But see, they've fallen for it. This divide and conquer has been the plan from the 1% all these years. That's what they want. They want us at each other's throats. They want this. They want us to be turmoil. They don't want anyone to, because it goes against what they're trying to do. But people, you can't tell them that. And they're like, no, I'm standing up for what I think is right. And there's something admirable to be said about that. But sometimes you're just like, well, think about why you don't think this is right. Try to really look at it from another perspective without getting angry about it. And nobody does. And everyone deals in absolutes. And that's a major problem. It's just
everybody does.
Right? And they want everyone to be in an echo chamber. Everyone's saying the same thing back. And you got to be this, this, and this, and this to be on this side. You got to be this, this, and this. And there's no, there's no identity. It's cultish. It's just like with a lot of organized religion. And it's funny because a lot of people are against organized religion so much, but you're kind of in one yourself in a manner of speaking, where it's all the day in, day out that. And it's unfortunate.
And I apologize because I think we weren't going to go down this route, and I maybe steered us into it. No, I think it's my error. So sorry, everybody. But yes, again, I think we're very similar to this way. We don't see eye to eye, which is exactly that's reality, and that's the problem. I think that's the thing. I've maybe made the joke that I want everybody to think and say exactly what I believe and believe. I don't really, because that would be boring and stupid. However, I do think, again, talking in extremes, there are some things I'm just like, I cannot believe that's your thought process, but so be it. And then I can't believe that's your thought process, but so believe it. It's like I feel like we do it kind of like, again, tongue in cheek, joking and whatever, and say it as kind of a joke. But the ones that are out there that are talking it's about like gathering the troops and going like we need to have power and numbers and everything else. And I'm just like, okay, I get it. I understand there's important issues out there, but I mean, it's crazy how the extremes that people are going to nowadays. It's mind boggling to me. Where I was going with this conversation, instead of rambling on here, is that I feel like you and I are a little bit more aligned in that regard now, is that both sides are just kind of the same problem.
Right, they are, correct. And I'm seeing more and more people come around to my way of thinking. I'm seeing more people are leaving their respected parties or whatever, and they're kind of coming around and saying, okay, wait a minute. That's like he's saying, if we get enough swing voters, we could, they'll never let it happen. They'll never let an independent in, so it doesn't matter. Again, it's a dream that's never going to happen, so why even get excited about it? But it's like, I want so many people to be disenchanted with the whole two-party system that maybe they'll actually revolt. Maybe they just won't vote anymore. They'll just stop and say, you know what?
Don't say we'll never happen.
Ourselves.
We actually have three major parties, and again, majors, they've had different degrees of success or failures over the years. But we had NDP, New Democratic Party, that won a couple of elections, and some of the success is just gaining more seats the way that we operate with it as well. And again, then we've got the Green Party. There's other independents that have made a difference over time. The Green Party used to kind of be, that would be the party that I think you would probably align with the most.
It sounds
again, it always seemed like they're about weed and
that kind of green.
Well, everything, like
all green.
Way back when, green renewable energy, everything way back when. And they were kind of not taken maybe as seriously back in the day, but they've gained momentum over the years, probably because it's become more of the forefront, and now everybody's has it in their agenda, and they're like, what do you now you guys have it in your agenda? This was our agenda, this was our platform for all these years, and now you assholes have jumped on board. But so we've got there's there's a lot of other, there's the People's Choice. There's a bunch of fucking parties, a lot of these independent, but they're making headway because now some of them are making headway because of the extremism.
Of course.
And
they're tired of
not conservative enough. And so what happened back in the day, there was another party called the Reform, which was the alt-right, and they merged with the conservatives because they ended up gaining more popularity than a Republican or conservative party. And they became the new new conservatives, and that was a merger. Again, we said we were going to get into this, and I'm getting into it. And now there's another extremist party that's making a little bit more headway from that regard. And so again, I'm just saying never say never, because maybe an alt option, and hopefully a good alt option, will be a reality. And it could easily be a reality. But again, to get that, they need the rah people to back them up. So it's the same so argument is that, again, it just depends on what their platform is. And hopefully it's something that sort of could resonate somewhere in where you can be like, I like this and I like that. I like this and I like that. Why can't I have it both and not feel like I have to be an extremist on one side of the parking lot? Why the parking lot?
I don't know. Why not? Why not the parking lot? An extremist on one side of the parking lot. You go to a concert, everybody over here, you guys go over here, the band plays in the middle. Yeah. I don't know. But hold on.
And again, I fucking rambled on. But you say your point, because I can't.
Just a question.
I apologize. Yeah.
Here's what I want to know. In the States, we have the whole electoral college thing. It isn't just popular vote. Do you guys have that in Canada, or is it popular vote?
It's not the same as what you guys have. Right. I guess overall it's popular vote, but what we do is we vote in MPs. So you're supposed to be voting for the MP in your municipality or in your area that you live in that represents the bigger person that's running as the head of the party. So if you're voting for Justin Trudeau, then most people don't do that though. They vote for Justin Trudeau. And they have no clue who their MP is or who the local party member is. But that's when you go to the ballot, you're voting for the local party member. And so by voting for them, what happens is, so in Halton or in Burlington and Oakville and Milton, it'll be divided into 3, let's say. And there will be 3 ridings that will have all the candidates listed if they're running. And then based on the popularity there, they win. So I guess it's similar. So like if conservatives win there, it will be blue territory. And then depending on how many seats they get overall determines who is the overall winner. So if there's 172, someone will correct me, 170, something seats available in the House of Commons, and then that's who you vote for across the country. And
again, so it's similar.
There's pockets that are leaning more conservative, pockets that are more liberal, pockets that are more NDP, and here and there. And like the big thing was that the Green Party got 1 or 2 seats overall, but that was a huge win.
Right.
So they had a voice as opposed to just being a party with no seats, and that's where I'm going with it. So there's a similarity there. I mean, if you count the overall votes that were cast, you could have a difference, kind of electoral versus whatever the popular is that difference.
I'm just trying to figure out how if you guys had a change that way, if something did happen, that I'm like, well, maybe because your system is different with the voting, because out here that would never happen. They just won't. You know what I mean? They won't even give somebody the ticket that's they have decided who's going to get their ticket to run long before. They already know. It's a freaking, that's what I'm saying, it's a crock. Like Bernie Sanders didn't have a chance when freaking Hillary was there, and nobody liked Hillary. I know a lot of people that like Bernie. I like Bernie. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I knew it the whole time, and I kept telling everybody, dude, they'll never let him have the seat. They will not. They've decided that this is going to be the horse. You could already tell. And that's the thing. They're never going to let anybody in. It's all handpicked prior. It's all agenda driven, and it's business, and it's, you know, a lot of these people are shaking hands behind the scenes anyway from both sides, and it's all about money, and it's all about, I'm not going to say Illuminati, but I am going to say, you know, the beautiful people, the 1%, whoever, the people that really run everything. I do believe in all of that. But again, enough of it. What's the furthest thing?
The beautiful people.
What's the furthest thing from politics? We'll talk about it. Whatever that is. Holy cow.
Yeah.
The furthest thing from what's the opposite of politics? Let's see. I don't know. There's an opposite
Anarchy.
of politics.
No, I guess that's not. That's political as well. Anarchy, but no, I guess that's.
No, but that's a political opinion.
Yeah.
Basically, based on politics. But still, what would be the opposite? I don't think there is an opposite. You can't say horror because horror does have politics in it, unfortunately. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes it's fun, but
I'll mention something. So I brought this up. I said I was going to bring it up on the last show, and I didn't. And I'll bring it up again. So I saw So Vam. Is that the name of the fucking movie? So Vam, the one that I said was one of my least favorite movies of the year. It's about it. Then I realized I didn't know the story behind it. It was on Shudder. I popped it on, and I'm like, holy shit, this is bad. It looked like a movie I would have made back when I was 16, 17, 18. Maybe a bit higher production value because the quality of cameras have gotten better. But the acting quality and the effects work weren't any much better. Then I found out that the fucking person that did make it was 16 at the time of making it. So I give full credit. What I didn't realize, so it's a trans film. I believe the writer and director is trans. And so that's the focal point of the film. Now that doesn't make a bad film good. And so we still gotta say that we can still be critical of these films. So I said it's the second of the year so far. I will say now maybe Toe is there as well. And the one that was I always forget the name of it, but I saw on Tubi. It's not even listed in fucking Letterboxd. I can't even list it as a movie I've watched this year. Funny enough, It's on IMDb, but it's not even on Letterboxd. But that was the worst movie. If You Could See Me Now or something like that. I don't know. Fucking horrible. And that's the worst. But then So Vam and Toe are struggling for that second last spot. But I have seen some ship breeders. I was trying to avoid them, but I've seen some ship balls or ship breeders, as we were saying earlier. But So Vam, again, full credit to the fact that this person was able to get a fucking feature-length film made and distributed on Shudder. Fantastic. I think now they're 18 years old and they've already have like another movie or so under their belt. Like that's fucking fantastic. I can't say, I think the budget was $12,000. Awesome. I mean, cause that's the goal. And they did the goal way earlier than I ever did. So that's exactly it. I made movies, but never feature length. So credit to that. Now the movie itself, I still stand by it. Pretty bad acting. And the script had some decent ideas, but again, I think those ideas were also visited in They, Them.
Okay.
The slasher film.
I didn't see that either. I haven't heard much good about it. But then again, I'm afraid to say anything about it because apparently
that's it.
Someplace else, if you don't like this movie, it means you're anti-woke. I'm like,
well, that's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Maybe you just don't like the movie.
Yeah. Well, that's like So Vam. I didn't like the movie, but again, full accolades to the process and the fact that it was done from someone of that age. Fan-fucking-tastic. That means, hopefully that will just be a career launcher and booster then, so they can do it. Now, I'm saying So Vam, but there's a theme in it, and again, if this theme was reversed, I worry that they wouldn't be accepted, right? I
always say this, right?
The theme in this case was that so it's about vampires, if the name didn't kind of tip you off, right. And they end up only trying to feed off of people that have treated trans, homophobic, whatever. They feed off bad people
Revenge.
Like that. And so, and again, great idea, great premise.
Okay.
Very similar to They, Them. And They, Them, though, took it a step further, and I'm not saying it's perfect by any means, but it's a much better film. It's worth your time. It's a slasher, but there's there's a large aspect of the trans and in this case more anti-gay, just kind of let you live your life the way you live, which is what we're saying. Let you live your life. But so is it an agenda film? Well, there's a part of it to it. Both movies share that same theme. SOVAM is done very much more on an amateur level, which is fine, as we described. But again, accolades to the director. But again, it's not a good movie. It's on my bottom. It hovers in the middle. It's not great. It's not horrible. It needed more kills. It needed a faster pace. It needed to know what it wanted to be, and which might be maybe that would be an offensive thing to say.
Nah.
Depending on how you want it. But it didn't want to be a full-fledged slasher, because it is a slasher, but it's not well. It feels like half-baked in a sense, because again, it wanted to focus on the agenda part, which could have been its own horror movie, and probably been more successful as a horror film, a camp for them to be for gay, for trans to be turned normal, or to excise them of their evil, if you will. That as the premise of a better movie. Well, what they did was they used that, and they strung through a slasher idea. So I can't say that's a bad thing, but I feel like the movie didn't know what it really wanted to do. I do know what it wanted to say, but I don't know if it got there in the most efficient way. I think another edit could have been made, but it was definitely more in the middle. Like, I think it's worth your time. It's worth checking out. Again, not great by any means, but a more important film, I think, than people are letting on, but definitely nothing fantastic. But again, you're right. You don't know what to say because you're worried that people are going to take it. But yeah, SOVAM was a horrible movie.
Well, if it is. Call a spade a spade.
It's a horrible film. But credit's due. But there's some bad edits, bad gore, and whatever. But again, no different than a movie I would have made back in the day, and probably at least in this day and age better, because again, it's trying to get their point across, and it's a personal movie for them, and they were able to deliver it there. So in that regard, I guess there's some merit to it. But again, it doesn't take away from the fact that it's one of my lowest rated of the year.
So here's my question: is it the lowest budgeted thing that you've seen on Shudder? Is it something that you would have expected to show up on Tubi? Is what I'm getting at.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
More Tubi.
So do you think that this person got this movie into Shudder because they were underage and trans?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say it once, and I'm going to say it again.
Is that bad or not? Because again, if it didn't get this platform, would we have been able to see it? See, I think them could have been is another one that went on the Peacock route, right?
Yes.
And rental route. So again, I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, because
I'm not either. I'm just questioning.
There's no platform or no voice. But yes, I think they probably saw the powers that be at Shudder, said, "Holy shit, this person's 17 or 18 now years old. This movie was made a year or so ago, 16 in conception, and it is made, and it's got something to say. Let's put it on." But that doesn't take away from the fact, you guys be the judge if it's a good movie or not.
Well, it's a gimmick, and that's what I always talk about. If you have a gimmick, this is the conversation Frankie and I had yesterday in the car. I said, people like me, we're done for. White Caucasian males, there's no gimmick. No one's going to pick us up on one of the major sites, because we got into this whole conversation. I wish she was here now, because I don't want to sound like a bastard. This is a girl who has many gay friends. I have gay friends. I have, she's mixed. I have many black friends, best friends, people that I'm still in contact with. So the thing is, when we have these discussions, it's not coming from a place where, I should have to be afraid, because I'll have this discussion with them, and most of the time they agree. So it's like, okay, but it's like, number one, two wrongs don't make a right. Just like this whole whitewashing thing that's going on with the freaking the Lord of the Rings. Now, in the past, when whitewashing was done, that was a different time. People like to say, okay, we've moved past that. How come it's okay to move past the bad things then, right? You know what I'm saying? And say there was a different world, so we don't speak that way anymore. We don't do this. We've taken out. So why would two wrongs make a right? Why would the opposite of whitewashing, and then taking characters that typically have been Caucasian and making them black, why would that be right? See, that's the problem. It's the conversation. And Frankie agrees with me. She's like, yeah, that's lame. I don't get that, because you're just causing more trouble. I said, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like all that stuff. It's two wrongs do not make a right. Don't push these people. If one guy's in the front of the line all these years, and these people not to say these people that way, but if, this demographic is in the back of the line or behind them, and now we're at a place where we should have been years ago, where, okay, now we're equals. We're together. What good are you doing by saying, okay, well, now we're not necessarily equals. We're going to push this harder, and now we're going to put you guys in the back. I'm so talking about the people that, supposedly oppress them, even though you and I never oppressed anybody. So, but it's like, if we would have had a gimmick, and I told Frankie, and I said this before, I should have pretended I was gay right from the start on this show, because we would have had more ears on the show. We could have marketed it as a gay show, and we might have been picked up by this network or that. We might be on Fangoria or on Shudder talking about things, because every one of those shows has a gay show on it. Like every major Bloody Disgusting, Fangoria network. If you're not already a star in some respect or in the business, usually the people that are on there, anything is gay driven. And I told Frank, I go, man, this is a gimmick. I said, you are a mixed child. I keep saying child. She's 16 now, but still, whatever. If you can find two other, and you're a female, if we can find two other females like you that are mixed, that would be a hit just based on the gimmick. Your show doesn't even have to be all that good. You'll still get eyes on. And then if you are good, well, then you'll really take off. I go, but guys like me, we don't have a chance. And it's sad because in the past, white Caucasian males have had too much of a chance. And I get that. And they've had every advantage. And I get that. White privilege, everything. But now we're at a point where people like us, just normal dudes, we get pushed back. And it's the same thing with anything. And it's just like, I'm not trying to knock anybody down, but everything should be equal. It wasn't that the fight all those years, the struggle. We want equal rights. Everything should be equal. Men, women, homosexual, heterosexual, black.
You know what though, Dave? I don't even think it's gotten to that point. I agree with I see what you're saying, and there's truth to it, because I feel like you're right. There in here, but that's because of a lack of trans voices, I think, in film. Over in the big picture. So I think the fact is that this was horror, and so it fit the mold, and so why not give it a platform? And you're right. Maybe if Vince made a movie, he would have been might be able to get it in. If Vince and I made the exact same movie, Vince might be able to get the movie in easier than I can. Maybe. I don't know if that's is that fair? Fair is relative, I guess. But to say equal, I think it makes it more equal based on the fact of that it was never equal for so long, and now I don't even think it's equal now. I just think what they're trying to do is try to make it a level playing field, and so I don't think it's there yet. Even when you think about it, we just talked about two movies. Now I'm sure there's tons more, but two that we're aware of right now: So Them and They Them. And I know that there's others, but I'm just saying, compared to everything else that's out there.
That's something to think about. Maybe it's not. See, I guess I've always seen things as, I don't know. In my mind, things are equal because of the way I view everything. I know not everybody thinks like me, but I'm like, well, I know that we have the advantages nowadays. People born in the last 30 years have the same advantages regardless of anything. I mean, if you're born in a certain area, like I have a good friend, and I talked to her about doing a podcast. I go, this would be something that would be great, because she was born in, she's a black female. She was born in a bad place with bad people, basically in the hood. And that's what she called it. And she goes, and I have this and this, and her father is a drug dealer and this and that, and her mother's living off the government. She was surrounded by all this type of, stuff around her, and she sees it, and she'll tell me, she goes, well, the Democrats hold us down that way. They want to keep us there. This is her talking. They want to keep us there by keeping them funded and stay in the same area, and so they don't. And it's a vicious cycle. And I agree. So, and she's like me. She's centrist. She's not either. So she can talk about against either side. But she says, but she doesn't have to say. I know she rose above that. She got out. She went to school. She did what she had to do. She went to college. And then when she goes back to the hood and she sees somebody, she gets almost made fun of. So they go, oh, this one, she's mad educated now. This and this, and they give her like attitude, like she sold out for leaving that. Meanwhile, she can pay her bills, and people, when they need help, who do they come to in her family? Her, the only one that can stand on her own 2 feet and did it all by herself, and she's a single mother, right? And she's the one that gets Lena, so she has to go through all this stuff. And she says the opportunities are there. I mean, maybe 30, 40 years ago, no. She goes, but we have the same opportunity as this, but they don't have the mentality to climb out of that. That's the problem. It's a societal thing that a lot of people in her community, in her old community where her family's from, they don't grasp at things like that or look at it that way. They're like, well, this is what I've been seeing all these years. This is how I'm going to do. I'm going to sit here, F that. I'm not going to go do that. I'm not going to go to college. I'm not. Unfortunately, in that situation like that, in a lower class income area, the way it is, regardless of color or any of that stuff, that just seems to be the way they look at it, and it's really weird. But I've gotten into some deep, like, intellectual conversations with her about them, and it's a whole different thing. And I'm glad people, like, look at it like Frankie. Frankie said she was talking to our neighbor who knows about, like, admissions in college and stuff, and she's doing everything great with school. But she goes, basically, because I'm a female and because I have a mix and because I'm black, I could get some type of I could get some acceptance, certain grants that they give out. They have to give out so many a year. And so we were talking about it. And I go, so if two people are going for the same thing, you'll get it. And she's like, yeah. I said, do you think it's fair? And she said, no. She goes, I don't think it's fair. But because of someone just as qualified as I am, why should I get the big? But I'm still going to reap the benefits, she says. Yeah. But I'm still going to take it, of course. I said, yeah, I want you to take it. But she'll say, I don't think it's fair. If two people are on equal calibers, or maybe one might even be a little bit better, have a little bit better grades, they're only choosing this one for that reason. And is that fair? Do two wrongs make a right? No. But again, I'll still take it. I'm her parent. So it's a tough thing.
I think they had to do things to kind of level it out, because otherwise it would have never been fair.
I agree with that.
If they just kept it the way it would have been, then it might have been overlooked. So, like, we've got to do something to kind of to at least make sure that they have the opportunities. And so I get it. And again, it's not fair. Fair's, again, is it fair? Maybe. It's not wrong, whatever. It's just the reality of what needs to be done to kind of make it a level playing field. And so maybe in 20 years from now, this is exactly it. The stuff that we're going through now, maybe 20 years won't be enough. I don't know. We're hearing a lot of this about, trans and everything like that, because, there's been a little bit more of a spotlight put on this, more so than ever before. And I think what's happened is, this is why we're getting these films where there's more of a revenge aspect to it. And again, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying, what if it was reversed? What if it was about a vampire that only killed trans people?
Right.
Because they didn't say it. Now, what I would have liked, though, what if that was made by a trans person? Because that was the horror aspect of it.
Because that would be
I think that would be more effective. I actually think, just like the camp aspect of They Live. What if it was about this camp that was doing this, and there was somebody killing trans people or whatever, that didn't follow the rules or whatever, but made by a trans person? Because again, if it was made by me, that could be seen as anti-trans. But I think it would be more powerful, almost, because of that aspect, if that was the route they went. And maybe that's what we'll get. Maybe that's what follow-ups will be like. They Live. I just want to give, so Vince saw it because he was very interested in seeing it. First off, he said he agreed with me. And sorry, Dave, because I know you have a different opinion. He said, and this is verbatim how I feel, Firestarter, this is about Firestarter first, obviously, was the biggest pile of shit. I'm actually embarrassed for the actors. Horrible. Vince and I saw it for the exact same thing. It's just something in the way that movie was made that you would not believe that this guy directed The Vigil the last time, because that was so effective.
It was
They, Them, this is his take on They, Them. They, Them premise had promise, but it needed 10 more rewrites and pass-throughs to tighten up the whole plot. Was it a team drama, a soft gay porn, exceptionally long dramatic pauses to make it artsy? He goes, they had a few good legend actors to help, but man, who is responsible for that storyline and editing? I said, I just added it needed more kills on top of those rewrites, because really, at the end of the day, it just needed to, like, I agree, it's kind of mudded. It didn't really know exactly what it wanted to be, but it had enough good stuff in it to carry it. But man, there's something here. There could be. I just got a large fan.
All of a sudden, I can't hear you.
Oh, that was gone.
Oh,
that was really odd.
Yeah.
That was really weird. I wonder if that will show up on the recording. It was like the longest, weirdest, out of the blue fan noise, and it just disappeared.
Hopefully it stays gone.
Weird. Okay. Well, anyway, I was just saying, like, because I know that there's a bit of a lag here. Again, to beat a dead horse, I thought, like, obviously there will be a platform for these movies to be made and to be said. I just think that, you know what, I'm hoping for some better stories. I don't care that
I agree,
because there's some people that are just shitting on them because of an agenda, a trans agenda or a gay agenda. I don't give a shit about that aspect. Just make good movies.
Don't either. Right. I don't care freaking if, okay, now I don't want all of a sudden Jason to come out in the next movie and he's gay. I don't want to see that because
he's gay.
You know, but he's gay. But I have no problem with other things being this or that, or I don't care about sexual orientation in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, I think that's part of the problem is that too many people care about sexual orientation. Who cares who you fuck? That's it. Seriously. Then I'll tell Frankie, right? Okay.
It stems from exactly who gives a fuck what people do with their lives. But of course, people do, which has then created this mess that we're in. And so now people that feel like they've been beaten down have a voice. So I get this. And again, if you have to express it through these movies, so be it. I just feel like there was some better movies to be made. And again, maybe this will be the launching pad for SOVAM director. And I apologize. I don't have their name readily available in front of me right now, and I could Google it, but again, you guys have the Google as well, so you Google it. And again, I don't want to take any power away. I'm just saying that hopefully this is a launching pad so that they can make better movies. And I don't want to feel like I'm not giving credit where credit's due, so I will say, and again, it hasn't really gotten a lot of. There's only been 82 reviews on IMDb.
Oh, really?
And it's Alice Mayo Mackey. I think I'm saying that correctly. And that is the writer or one of the writers and the director of SOVAM.
Okay, well, maybe I'll watch it. I probably won't watch either because you're not really saying anything is really special enough to watch it. I'm being very particular, like I'm doing real good. What did I say the other day in chat? That I watched this many movies and I only have 3 6.5s and that's my lowest, and I'm doing good. I'm having a good damn year, so it's like, hey, right on. I'm doing my thing, and it's like I was going to say this before. People are coming around to my way of thinking. You talked about Scott and Heather and Mark Nato. Okay, now I listen to their podcast, so I know. So Scott straight up said he's going to be more discerning, and he has been watching less. And Heather, I think, said the same thing, and I think she's watching less. She's still watching more than the average. And Mark Nato recently, on one of the last shows, said that he was also going to try to scale it down a bit now. So people are coming, and I'm not saying I have anything to do with it. I'm just saying that you see what happens. People that watch everything eventually get to that point where they're tired of seeing shitballs and like, okay, I'm going to try to go for some quality stuff now, which is, I'm an extremist about it. I can admit that. But I also feel that my way is the right way. So I'm really digging, like, how many movies did I say I watched the other day? I just said it in the chat. What was it, 29 or whatever the hell it was? Let me see, movies. Let's see. But the thing is, I'm enjoying what I'm doing now. And I always set out to do 52, one a week. It's never going to happen. I always go over. So it's not like, you know what I mean? I'm not going to have a really bad time. I'm not going to be, here's what I have here. Here's my note. I have 29 movies for the year. Only 3 are 6.5. We can add 30 to that list because I just watched Who Invited Them. And I can tell you that is a 7 or higher. I will tell you that much about that movie. So now I have 30, and only 3 are 6.5 out of those 30. I'm doing pretty damn good, man.
Yeah, you're doing good. I said, I've watched shitballs. I mean, I what did I say? I'm at 56 films, and I count 20 on my to-watch list as well. So I am going to probably be at way higher than I initially thought. I'll probably be I will be between 75 and 100 then. For the year once all said and done, because Shudder keeps introducing, like I said, a couple new movies a week. It seems they just released 2 more now that I will add to the list. They're not on that actually to watch list, but again, I want to just make one more point, Dave, just about it. We can put this whole thing in bed. Who is saying these movies are important? The ones we're talking about, SOVAM and they them. Is it like I hope it's a broader community, but I think it's, again, no differently than what we're arguing before. I think it's a lot of white straight people that are saying these movies are important.
Oh, white liberals. Of course.
White
it's their gimmick.
People. I don't care if it doesn't really matter.
No, but I guarantee. Right. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. It's part of their gimmick. They have to push it forward. They have to.
Vince is not saying. Vince is not. I want Vince to see SOVAM, so maybe I'll let him to see that, and I guarantee Vince will say, "No, Vince is not trans. Vince is gay." But I'm just saying. Right. So and he's one person out of a ton. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not fair. But again, he's my co-host and my gay, like my only gay friend right now. So that's who I'm going to use.
That you know of.
Because I can't. I can't. It's not my voice, so I'm going to ask. And Vince full-fledged said they them. It was not great. Not great. Maybe, I don't even know if he said it was good. He said it was, I would say he would probably say it was a 5 out of 10 tops. He didn't give his rating, but just based on that, I can tell you he would hate SOVAM. And again, not because of the themes, because of the movie itself, the production value of the movie. And that's just the reality of what we got. Your themes are great. The story aspects are like that. That's important. But if you can't deliver in the production of it, we got problems. But again, I don't want to take anything away because 16 years old, fuck. I mean, that is
right. No, right on.
That is cool. So I'm just hoping launching pad for more movies.
Right on. Make a movie. Make more. Get your name out there. I can't hate on it. It's great. It's horror. It's someone that cares about the genre. I don't have any hate in my body, but I do question things, and I'm like, well, and I don't ever want it to come off that way. I mean, but I'm never going to just go for something because of. It's like if they made a movie about a heterosexual Italian man who loved black women, and that was the story, I wouldn't just automatically love it just because it has things that I like, and the guy happens to be into horror. It doesn't make me a fan automatically. I'm going to watch it, and if it's a 3 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, I'm going to tell you it doesn't matter. Just like a movie filmed in my hometown means fucking dick to me. Dick, big fat fucking dick and balls. I do not care. I'm not a homer that way where something filmed in my hometown automatically makes it, oh, well, I got to wave the flag. Fuck you. I'm sick of that fucking.
Oh, I know tons of movies that were filmed in the area. It's horrible. Yeah.
I think it's all bullshit.
I agree.
I think it's a fucking bad mentality to have. Anyway, now I'm not knocking anyone that does, but I'm saying me. Am I happy that The Burning was filmed in NT? The city that I grew up? Fuck yeah, I want to go visit it and stuff. But I'm not going to say, well, The Burning is better than The Prowler by default because it was made in Buffalo. I'm not that type of person.
No,
it's unfair.
I know, and I agree. And if I ever bring it up, it's because it's like either, it was filmed here as an added bonus, like Becky from a couple years ago. The dude that did Vicious Fun. Well, Vicious Fun, I think, was as well, but I think it was his other one was filmed in this neck of the woods. And if it's, so be it. If it's Burlington surrounding area, so be it. I'll bring it up if I know. Or sometimes I don't even realize it until after the fact. So as a add-on. But yeah, I never love a movie because of it. It's just more intriguing.
No.
If I thought, hey, this was filmed in our area? Weird. Where?
Yeah, that's cool. I'll even say it's cool, but I'm not going to rate it higher. I'm not going to say, well, I have to say this movie is such and such because I have some type of a geographical attachment to something. I mean, to have pride based upon geographical whereabouts to me makes no sense. Pride in general is a 7 deadly sin. It's never good to have, and this is what I always stress to Francesca about it. So I was just like, well, people want to say I'm proud. I hate even using those words, and I'm proud of my daughter because I feel like a dick because I don't like having pride because it's not a good thing. It's not a good trait to have. I mean, the media misconstrues that, and they try to say pride is something you should be proud of.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So either way, I just try to keep myself balanced. You know what I mean? And
again, our opinions could be validated or invalidated just because we are two older white guys talking about it. But I'm just saying, hey, I'm all for whatever. Just make them good fucking movies. And again, if you downvote them because they're trans, and that's the only reason you're downvoting, which is a big trend lately, that's shitty and bad. And if you upvote them just because of that, again, I can't credit that either, because obviously you're not basing on the merit. But again, I can understand, hey, we've been vilified or this, that, and the other thing for so long. I want to draw some attention to it. So that's fine. But I'm just like, all these movies, Disney movies, Pixar, whatever it may be, everything recent, Marvel, whatever it may be, they have a same-sex kiss. Star Wars did it, whatever it is, to be downgraded because that aspect is in the film is stupid. It's just stupid, and you're not helping anything, because they're not going to stop doing it. It's not stopping.
No,
it's just going to excel from here. So you're not. It doesn't matter. Your down vote means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, bravo.
But I did do a shitty vote for Sylvam, but based on the movie.
Okay,
I'm trying to do all these accolades for the hope that it's just, because I'm not, my downvote or my shitty vote is not going to stop another movie being made. And like I said, I believe it already, our IMDb made it sound like there's already movies that have been made. So there's going to be more, and hopefully they just get better and better and better.
Right on. Done. See, bravo. Well said. Well said. That's the way I agree. Don't rate something one way because of that, or don't promote it high or low because of that, because then that's a shame. You know what I mean? So I feel you, and I don't want anyone to think. Don't get me ever conserved. Don't get me ever confused with a conservative, because I assure you, dear listeners, I am no damn conservative. I'll tell you right now, I'm no damn liberal. But again, it's just like we said, the voice that is the loudest, especially in the horror community, happens to be from the left, and it happens to be what I see in my life socially until I go to work. When I go to work and I'm around other Caucasian people, they're all there, and I'm the one that's closer to being the liberal. You know, but we don't talk about it. But so it's weird. Like in the horror community, it's this. But if I go anywhere else, like around, and I talk to my personal friends, and these are people that are hippies and then have come through. I've even had a friend run for freaking, under the Democrat ticket to try to hold office here, in the last 15 years. And last time around, he voted for Trump.
Yeah,
there you go. People change and this and that, but it's like, not in a bad way. He's still the same dude. He's still a hippie, has a VW bus and everything else and mentality. So there's no hate going on here, but some people can just look at things and say, well, I don't like what's going on here, and I'm going to vote this for this reason because I feel this benefits the community better. Nothing that has to do with, race or gender identity or any of that stuff, just more economic things and things to keep us out of trouble. But anyway, that's a whole thing, and don't ever get me confused with any of that stuff, because that's not me. I'm just an independent thinker, and I believe C is as well. And there's more people out there like that, and but just be true to your opinion. Watch a movie, and hey, I don't care who the killer is. I don't care if they're gay, straight, this, that, but
maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's because we're not what it's made for. It's not that we don't care. We've never had an issue with it. So now when these movies have come up that are more agenda focused, I get where they're coming from, but they weren't made for us. But again, because we're horror fans, we're watching them, or at least I am in this case, because you're trying to keep your ratio of ratings higher for the year. But I still think they're worth checking out to see what all the fuss is. Specifically, they, them. I think because again, there's a slasher element to it that you should appreciate.
Okay, maybe I will.
More slasher element in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. See, maybe I will, but you guys haven't really had ringing endorsements about it. So if you would have said, what was that one movie that came out a few years ago?
Half slasher, half this horrific, what is it, brainwashing, religious camp element, which is both have elements. Which is more original, that brainwashing, the camp element, that would have been a fucking movie to focus on. In fact, we should probably steal that idea and make our own movie about that. But again, it can be misconstrued depending on how I want to do it. But that's where the horror lies. Like, holy shit. But
yeah. But what was that movie that Giallo? Oh, Knife Plus Heart. That was like a gay Giallo.
Yeah.
Remember that movie?
It came out a couple years ago. Yeah.
It was great.
2 years ago. 3 years. Yeah.
And it wouldn't have made a difference to me if it was gay themes or not gay themes. I couldn't care less if it was, you know what I mean, Caucasian or anybody in it. As far as that doesn't matter to me. A good movie's a good movie. Knife Plus Heart, good movie. That's all there is to it.
See, and this is the problem. I think everybody that these are made for, I don't think are going to have the problem with it. And the ones that don't like it, I actually, maybe the only thing I can see this being for, because you're never going to change. I shouldn't say never. Again, I shouldn't say never, but traditionally and most likely you're not going to change, or you're not going to win over a Republican's mindset or heart. And again, maybe it's not even just Republican, just people that have that different mindset. Because again, I did cast everybody with the same brush there, so I apologize. Not the Republican mindset, just a mindset that says, well, I don't believe in that, whatever. So be it. But maybe it will help someone that's having the problems growing up that might be in this situation or realm and have nobody to go to. And at least say, holy shit, there are people out there. There are movies being made, and maybe in that regard, that will be where these movies can shine and maybe help someone in there realize that there's other people out there and whatever else, and there's the ability to go that route and make. So in that regard, I see there being a big I guess, platform, and that's what really these movies are for. I should say. Right. And again, I'm not trying to undermine it. I hope it doesn't come across that way. I'm just trying to think. You and I don't have a problem with it. We base it on the movie caliber, but I guess maybe that's not what the movies are for then.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a movie.
That's what I'm watching them for.
It's a horror movie. It's there to entertain us. If we think it's good, we think it's good. If we don't, we don't, and that's it. I mean, everyone deserves to have a voice. That's fine. No problem there. I mean, you could do it it's like fan service. You can completely throw a whole bunch of fan service from the opening frame to the final frame, or you can have a couple nods throughout the film, a nod and a wink and a little what's the word? An homage to something throughout the film about something that you are passionate about. And if that happens to be a topic like sexual orientation or race relations or anything like that, that's okay. But I also, like I'm saying, if you do it from first frame to opening frame, it can be a little, and that's what people will complain about. It's like Brian said, it's as subtle as a sledgehammer. You don't want that. Then it's too much. You just, you know what I mean? Just let it be like the original Candyman did it.
Yes. Or here's another example. So I just showed Jocelyn because I wanted to show her some of the standouts that I liked, and it's actually good for my list as well. I just showed her Incident in a Ghostland, which I see a lot of people really are kind of in the middle with. They're not blown away. And there's some that love it like I do, and whatever. She loved it as well. But there's a movie that got vilified because not just because an actress was
injured,
which should have been the reason, injured during the movie. That should have been the reason, but because one of the killers was trans, and they said it negatively portrayed trans. I'm like, okay, I get it, but again, there's something that's one element of the film, and again, I don't think that's what the focal point was. I really don't think that's what they were trying to say with their movie.
No,
that fan noise again. The fan noise just came up again. It's the weirdest fucking thing. I don't know what it is, but anyway, it's gone now. Again,
so it's culty.
Right? Joss didn't have a problem with it. Jocelyn watched the movie with me. No problem with it. Loved the movie. Done.
It's very culty. It's
just interesting
to feel that way, I think. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, just like Apple. They say that like Apple, anytime somebody has an iPhone or they have a Mac on a television show or on a movie, that person's always going to be a good guy. They're not a villain. So now I spoil movies that you're watching. That's culty. And I have Apple products, but I find that to be culty. And I find someone complaining about saying, well, all trans people have to be the good guys. That's culty too. There should be no absolutes. Absolutes are a bad thing, man, no matter who it is or no matter what the case. That's how I look at it.
Absolutely. This is where, and as it evolves, I think we'll get more villains. We'll get more of everything, because I think that will just be part of it. Okay. And again, this will all be behind us at that point, but we're just not there yet because it's still kind of new and fresh and in the psyche. And again, I do believe that just over time, this will just become commonplace.
Well, I'll tell you what, and to sum it up, I have to put this in. Ryan Murphy gets it right. Ryan Murphy, and you hear me talk about him time after time. American Horror Story is my favorite show. Everything he touches to me turns to gold. He is a gay man with a lot of gay themes in his stuff, but he does it right. It isn't constantly every scene, everything on top of everything, and his gay folks that are in his movie aren't always good. There's good and there's bad. There's this and there's that. He portrays them the same way he portrays straight people. He portrays a black man the same way he portrays a white man. That's what I see. Maybe it leans a little towards one side, but again, there's not as many, so I could get that because they want them. If you happen that to be your focal point of that particular season or movie or something, fine, I get that. But I mean, Ryan Murphy does it right, man. And I'll say it time and time again. There's all kinds of same-sex things going on, female and male and everything else. And I love everything that dude does. So, I mean, I think he does it right again. That's all I can say. It's freaking American Horror Stories this season is great, too. And he's never done anything wrong, in my opinion. Everything he's done, I love. Like he did, remember, he put those two gay dudes in, what do you call it? Freaking the movie. Sackhead, not Jason. You know, Town That Dreaded Sundown was promoted by that. Not the Sackhead, but although some people say the original Sackhead, but still, you know. So even so there's a couple gay characters in there, and so be it, whatever. But it's just like he does it right. He doesn't look at it. He's not afraid to say, okay, this person could be a bastard, and this person could be a swell guy. I like that. So once again, Ryan Murphy's doing it right.
And everybody shits on the new Halloween movies because this is all interjected nowadays. I'm like saying, you know what? Fuck it. It was always there because Bucky in Halloween 4, there's no question he's gay.
Bucky's gay. You know who else was gay? The father in the father in Halloween 6. This Halloween bullshit. He was in the closet. That's why he was mad all the time, hated everything. You know what I mean? He came off like he was
just so angry.
He was just gay. He just couldn't be himself back then. You know what I mean? He was afraid to come out. And that I'm sticking with it. He's gay.
That was the true curse. That was the true curse of Michael Myers.
That's it. Tommy Doyle, he may have been gay. Who knows? You know what I mean? So, whatever. It is what the new Tommy Doyle's gay for sure.
Oh my God, they're showing. We were watching something that was showing the extremes in that Alex. That guy that sued that has to pay because he denied Sandy Hook was real or whatever on the show, and he has to pay like the family like 40-something million or whatever. He's the one that said turned in the frogs gay. They showed that
Alex
clip.
Something.
They showed that clip on when they were talking about him, and my wife's like, "What the hell's he going on about?" I started laughing my head off because I'm like, "That's the segment that Dave brought out based on that the turn in the frogs gay."
Oh, I wish gay Dave. Oh, and that's another thing about me. I wish I were gay. And I used to say this all the time I wish there was more gay men, because the more gay men in the world, the better odds for the straight man. You know, not everyone's trying to bang the same chicks. Like I used to say, I wish I was the only straight guy in the world and every other guy was gay. All the women would be mine. So I've always said that.
All of them. Oh, yeah. You just be eating there, being fed grapes constantly. It goes way back and everything else. Like we strip it right back to like Roman sexist times. Anyway, why don't we start in a movie? Even though one of these movies I think we could sum up in like 2 minutes.
1986. Yeah, the Power.
1986.
Imagine that every year a song came out.
And I actually did the robot fucking movements.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah.
1986. It's still robotic in 86. Actually, it is robotic. The movie, there's robots in the movie. It is robotic.
Killbots.
Yeah, Killbots. Yeah. Kill twats.
So we were starting with that one. I am not prepared. We had all that time. We took a little bit of a break to pee, get drinks, and I didn't even get anything ready to go. Fucking me.
Wow. Hold on. See?
What's the matter?
I just realized something else. I was going to talk about what a good year 86 was, because some people commented on it with just the movies we put up. And then I'm talking about robots. Right below Chopping Mall, what's on the list? Deadly Friend. Another freaking robot thing.
Oy, thank God we didn't choose that one. I would have not had a good word to say about that one. BB. They walk like a robot.
Wait a minute. 1986 might be a bigger robot. What year did Small Wonder come out? Let's see here. 85. Okay, all right.
There we go. The year of the robot.
84 to 86, straight roboting, man. How about robotics? Remember that toy? Robotics. I had that. I loved that freaking thing.
Yeah.
You even know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely.
Toy? Robotics. Not with a C, an X on the end. Robotics toy. Let's see when it came out. 1985, robotics. There you go. I'm telling you, man. 85, 86, 85. It's Robot City.
Well, and speaking of Robot City, then let's get into Robot or Killbots, or AKA Chopping Mall, as it's betterly known as. Betterly,
huh?
Is that betterly
That's
known as?
At.
All right, betterly. It's now a word. 1986, rated R, directed by the infamous Jim Wynorski. Is he infamous, or is he just not really famous? I don't really know, but he's not known for quality movie making. This is possibly his best made movie. But let's get into it. A group of young shopping mall employees stay behind for a late night party in one of the stores. When the mall goes on lockdown before they can get out, the robot security system malfunctions and goes on a killing spree.
Nice. Now, I didn't want this movie to win just because.
Why?
I just watched it. I just watched it less than a month ago with as a Friday night view. But I will say this. This is a movie. 100%.
It is a movie.
To be watched and viewed the way I did it on a Friday night. This is the perfect Friday night movie. You still work on Friday. You're a little bit tired. You just want to kick back, not watch anything heavy, have some fun, pop a few drinks or eat a few edibles or whatever it is you do, or just be sober and hang out with friends. You know what I mean? And kick it. And it's lighthearted. It's from the 80s. So if that's your jam, then you get on it and you watch it and you just kick back and have a little fun with it. It's not excellent.
There's really no next level.
I don't consider it even great, but I do consider it a good, fun Friday night flick. How's that?
Perfectly summed up. I mean, you didn't even mention the running time. It says an hour and 17 minutes, and that's with closing credits. Like, it barely makes it to 73 minutes, and we've got opening credits, closing credits, and everything. It's in, out, done. You can't get bored with this movie because it's so fast-paced. And again, like I said, there's really no next level. It's setup and then payoff and fighting. It's a slasher film, but with robots. And you take out the lasers and you put it in. It plays out better than The Initiation in a way, and Hide and Go Shriek, which are the slasher movies with killers in a shopping mall. And this one has the killer robots. The weird thing about this is that, like, these robots really, as much as they show you the opening sequence to introduce them as this really great security system option, they really suck. And you can hide behind there's pillars. These people are running away from them, where I feel like they could have just hid behind a pillar and just walked around a pillar and lost that robot in 2 seconds. Because the depth perception in these things, even though their heads could turn around Linda Blair style in 360, really, their viewpoint doesn't seem to be like that. But the premise is cool. The premise is really cool. But nobody at the mall seems to know that these robots have been put into function, or that that tonight is the night that they're going into play. All the execs at the mall seem to know about this, but nobody that works there, including Dick Miller, like, seems to know this. You know what I mean?
An oldie but a goodie. No, the thing is this. I think that
Dick Smith.
I disagree. I think they all did know they were coming because they all had their cards. They all had their work IDs. And even when what's his name leaves the thing, who's the son of the Sofa King, is it the Sofa King? If so, that's fucking funny. I never got the. It's not called the Sofa King, Furniture King, right?
Yeah, Sofa. Okay. What is Sofa King? I don't know. That's a bit of ring to it.
No, you know why? Because basically, you could say that guy was so cool that he was so fucking cool. See, that's the joke, Sofa King. But I didn't mean to say that. That's why that was in my head, because of that joke, Sofa King. So anyway, the Furniture King or whatever.
He died from a suffoking.
Suffer. Yeah. Okay. I can't.
I'm sorry. I'm out. Woo! Sorry.
Suffocate King. No, I couldn't do it. So
Yeah.
don't you realize he grabbed the idea when he went to get the cigarettes out of the machine. So he had it in his mind that he's gonna need it when he's on the floor. Dick Miller showed the thing. It was the first thing he said. Oh, you guys are quiet. And then he goes, look. He goes, here's my ID. So I think that they did know they were coming there. So I'm not sure.
I just get it for the fact that they broke in. Again, I don't know if they knew maybe they weren't expecting that the mall was going to be struck by lightning and they're going to go on a killing spree. But why is this a default? I guess that's the funniest part is I'm questioning a stupid movie. Again, I get it, but I'm trying to throw something here, or we'll be done talking about this in 2 seconds. Because there's boobs, there's blood, and it's fast paced. I mean, it's a fun movie. And again, boobs might not be for everybody. So, and in this day and age, it's even weird to bring it up. But yeah, there's boobs and literally just gratuitous. Here you go, yo 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 yo. Here we are.
Oh yeah. If you're into attractive women,
viewing pleasure. Yeah.
If you're into attractive women from the 80s, this movie is chock full, and maybe attractive men too. The one guy, Russell Todd from Friday 2, he's in it, and he was a male model, so I guess he's a good-looking cat. You know what I mean? So, but I'll tell you, these women, oh boy, beautiful, every one of them, one after another. I can't believe that
pervert.
That Carrie Emerson never went anywhere. This was her last movie, I think. The dark-haired girl that was married to Peter Barton. Mamma mia. And then there was the other one, the blonde girl that got killed off. She only had a couple. What was her name?
Oh, or head explode? The head, yes, the one that had the exploding head?
Yes, the exploding head. She was very attractive too, and she didn't have much of a career. You know what I mean? But of course then you have, the main two. Well, are they the main two? Because that's something I think about, is that Barbara Crampton at the height. Reanimator's 85. From Beyond is 86, as is this. But Barbara Crampton, after the success of Reanimator, and I get Kelly Maroney was doing her thing too, and the two of them just are great.
Oh yeah, she's in tons of stuff.
Right, but the thing is, Barbara Crampton dies maybe 2/3 of the film. I would have expected her to last a little longer, but I was like, oh wow, look at this. You know what I mean? Because she had been in Reanimator. She's coming right off of that movie. You would think that they would be, hey, that was a big flick that came out, man. I'm sure I rented it a couple times. It was a popular movie.
The movie is 73 minutes long, Dave. 75 minutes. Like, no one's lasting long in this movie. They're going to get killed. I know what you're saying. She's one of the first to go. But it's so fast. Yeah. Like, they die, and it's like puts them in fight mode, and they're go, go, go. The one thing I would say is, other than the exploding head, the deaths are really not that fantastical. I wish the deaths were a little bit better. If I had to be really critical.
I'll say this. They were at least creative for them being robots. Look at it this way. This is where I think was actually strong, because I remember when this movie first came out in the 80s and I saw it on the shelf, and nowadays I love that cover. I love it. Yeah. But at the time, I saw this, and again, this is still slasher times, 86. We were heavy into slashers still. They were still coming out with some. So I saw this, and I'm thinking chopping mall, and I look, and then I see it's a robot, and here we go. What do I care about robots? That was my mentality at the time. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch Chopping Mall for the first time until like 7 years ago. This is the third time I've seen it ever. I saw it 7 years ago, right? Then I saw it for last month, and now this is my third time. But
so Dave, similar to you, I'm cutting you off only because similar to you, I saw this, but I did see it back in the heyday. But I dragged my feet. I read it, even though I love that cover art, because what do I care about robots?
Oh,
all right. Kind of like I'm pretty sure that's not the thought that went through my head. But I'm like, oh, robots that run amok? Nah. If it was a slasher movie, traditional, I would have been more intrigued, because in my day and age, I wanted simple. It was just the way my mind worked back in the day. Then I watched it and I'm like, it's fun, but I never loved this movie. I just thought it was a fun, perfectly acceptable time waster.
Right on.
Nothing really offensive about it. I mean, maybe nowadays you can find the gratuitous nudity offensive. Maybe. I don't. It's perfectly welcoming for me. But, and again, what the one that I had was the one with the shopping bag that looked like more like mangled things. But there's another cover art that says Shopping Mall with a broken robotic arm and a red bag with a rip in it.
Yes.
Yeah, that looks like Trick or Treats, and I was wondering if you thought that the face looked like a coiled up cattail.
Right? Was there a cat in that bag too? Or was it a ear?
Sorry, that's an old in joke. If for all those that don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Well, I'll tell you, there was merit to it. I showed it around, and not many people saw that ear. That people said different things, so it wasn't just me. But we all thought, I don't want to see that movie with a cat in it. Come on, what do I care about a cat in a trick or treat bag? So I mean, but again, the title though, Killbots would have been a more truer title for what this mall is, or what this movie is. Pardon me. The thing, Chopping Mall, is an excellent title for a slasher. Excellent title. I think that title was put out there to make people think it was a slasher in a manner, because it had such a great, because there's no chopping going on here. Killbots is maybe too sci-fi, so I get it. So it's a cool title, but I mean, this is how this whole thing started. What I was going to say was, even though they are robots, I'm going to give them props on every kill not being a robot kill. It's not just laser eyes and the head explosions kick ass. Don't get me wrong, it's probably the highlight. But I mean, instead of just having it like the first two kills are just robot kills. The thing comes up, goes through a body part, a throat, back of the head. It's like a kill from. It's almost like Alien when his thing comes out of his mouth and he punctures. You know what I'm talking about? The whatever. Yep. Okay. So the xenomorph. So the thing is, but they do get creative. They have a death by fire. They have the guy thrown off the freaking top of the thing. So they take this movie that they have and they go, okay, well, we don't want to have every kill be a robot kill. That's going to be boring. We can't have them walking around with meat cleavers. They're not slashers. So at least I'm going to give them props for being creative and doing things, you know?
I guess, but there could have been a little bit more variety. It seems like they have those clampy hands that they've used, and he throws one guy over. Okay, great, but maybe he could have been thrown over and then gone through the windshield of a car that was like parts on display or something like that. I don't know, just elevated a bit. I'm nitpicking, but what you get is, like I said, repetitively fast-paced fun. The only thing you could maybe argue about is there's really no next level. Like I said to this movie, there's no hidden agenda. There's nothing else. You might say it was a comment on, security and technology and everything else. That's not there. You could pull that out. You could pull that out and use it as an argument, or saying that they're commenting on how we're relying on technology and we're losing the human element and we're relying on all this technology and this is where it's going to go bad, just like the Terminator. But it's not there. This movie is just shit, just for fun. But you can argue that, I guess, if you really wanted. If Kyle from Horror Movies Weekly or whatever is dissecting it, maybe that's what he would pull out of it, Mr. Academic. I don't know why I'm picking on him. Is that the academic?
No. Well, yeah, but still, no. I mean, he still loves horror movies. I'm just saying that he takes the he's very much into the zombie thing. That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's Dr. Walking Dead. So, and that these zombie movies, a lot of them, especially the major ones, there's stuff to be pulled out of them. So there's discussions to be had in those type of movies. So I think that's where the whole thing comes from there with him. But there's a good slit throat in this movie. I always like to see a throat slit. There's that too. Now, if we're going to nitpick, here's a question. Maybe I missed it. I've only seen it 3 times. But I have a question. The first person gets killed, the employee that works there, right? He's by himself. The lightning strikes. He's sitting there eating his food. He has that sausage or something that's in like a styrofoam container, whatever. He dies. The robot kills him. We see the thing come up. Now we see another employee come there like 10 minutes later. The guy's food is there. The dead body is not there. Where did the body go? Did this Killbot pull a Jason and hide it someplace, or did they just not put it?
Probably we just didn't. It was either cut out because again, this movie's short, or they just didn't feel like explaining it. Like it's just, again, we're talking about Jim Wynorski, who is like almost like a modern, like more of a modern day Corman. I think he may even come out of the Corman camp. Again, I don't know that. I for whatever reason I remembered something like that.
I feel
but
that.
If you look at his he's had like one of those things where movie sucked, I enjoyed it. Movie sucked, I enjoyed it. Like back and forth. Like here's part of his filmography, because he's directed so many fucking movies that I didn't even think he went into softcore or even porn later. But here's just from like 84 to like 94. So we'll do 10 years worth. He started with The Lost Empire, then Chopping Mall, Deathstalker 2, Big Bad Mama 2, Not of This Earth remake, Return to the Swamp Thing. So I guess he was really into the part 2s. Transylvania Twist, The Haunting of Morella, Sorority House Massacre 2, which, again, that's fucking so much fun. It's a horrible movie. It's called Nighty Nightmare, and it's the one that uses all the flashback footage is actually of Slumber Party Massacre as opposed to Sorority House Massacre. It's the weirdest fucking thing, but it's such a it's fucking great. You gotta watch that. Hard to Die, Scream Queen Hot Tub Party, 976 Evil 2. Holy fuck with the twos.
Wow, yeah.
Munchie, which if you remember was a horrible fucking like Ghoulies and Grummy. Yeah, Munchie.
Oh, Munchie. Just Munchie.
Yeah.
Not Munchies and not Munchie.
No. And then Sins of Desire, Little Miss Millions, Point of Seduction, Body Chemistry 3. Oh, I guess you got part 3 for that one. Dinosaur Island, Munchie Strikes Back. There you go. Part 2. And Ghoulies 4.
Wow.
And it continues. But that's just a 10-year sort of view of the movies that he was directed. Yeah. So
not of this earth.
He was a schlockster. He was a schlockmeister, whatever but again, every now and then there would be a gem, and Chopping Mall would be considered a gem. I may be in the minority and thinking that Sorority House Massacre 2, Nighty Nightmare is a gem, but again, it's a sleazy gem. Like it's one of those movies you can't recommend to everybody because it's just long, lingering shots of women taking showers. It's like kind of creepy, and then a slasher killer there, but like they didn't even care if the tubing that was shooting the blood got into the frame a little bit. So it's one of those movies.
Slumber Party Massacre. I know he didn't direct.
Sorority House Massacre 2.
No, I know
but he didn't direct. Oh, okay.
What I'm asking is, was he involved? Was he a producer of Slumber Party Massacre? Is that what it is? Roger Corman.
I think Roger Corman was. So yeah. So there might have been something. Yeah. Maybe that's the right they had, so they used that. Very fucking bizarro.
Yeah,
but,
weird. Yeah, that is weird. Okay, well, either way. So, Not of This Earth, that was the one with Tracy Lords? Or no?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that's something worth watching. I'll tell you that. Okay. Tracy
I
Lords
saw it way back in the day when it came out, and it wasn't that great.
No, but she's naked in it, and it's Tracy Lords. So, at the time, that's a big deal. You know what I mean? Especially when you're, 14 years old. So, yeah. Tracy Lords was already infamous, even before we knew she was underage for being in porn. We just knew her as a popular porn star and a hot porn star. That's because that's boys talking. You know what I mean? At that age, it's about this stuff. Oh yeah, this, you see links of it in the magazines that you steal from places and pass around. So she was a known, actress. So anyway, the bottom line is this: he killed the first person, and then. Why would a robot think to clean it up anyway? We're not dealing with Jason here. That's okay. Why would he have to hide it? That wouldn't be his mentality. I got to hide what I just did because it was wrong. So I get it. I just wish they could have addressed it a little bit better. Maybe it'd be in some other room where he wasn't seen. But whatever. It is what it is. That's my nitpick. I was like, wait a minute. I thought maybe I missed something. Where's the body? The food
not the lightning. Lightning striking the mall sends these security bots in a killing spree.
Why not? It's electricity.
It would have been better if they had like a switch that said like, do you want it on security or kill? Set it to kill.
Okay. Well, now here's the problem too. I will say this: if they get flipped out to kill people, right, and they immediately kill the first two people to see, why are they asking Dick Miller for his ID? Why does it take any time where he takes time out to show him ID and he goes, can I help you, sir? Or whatever the hell they say. Wouldn't they just have killed everybody they saw? So they killed the first two people they saw, yet they decided to ask the other people for ID. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It's fine. I just love Have a Nice Day. I love how that comes back as the call letter when she decides to have the nice day, motherfucker.
Right.
Like this movie at the time, when you think about it, we're talking 86. They were already mocking in a sense, because maybe they weren't mocking, but that's how I took it. The final line that the hero would spout before dispatching the killer or the victim or the bad guy. And it's awesome because that's something that you would see more, in the 2000s or even now, like this being something that they wanted to to do and make fun of. Like I've done it where you have that last line of whatever it may be, and it always is usually a line scene in the movie with motherfucker added to the end, and whatever. This movie already had that. Like it was already an Arnold Schwarzenegger line in between the most popular Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, which are arguably, I mean, okay, Conan fans, don't be mad at me, but arguably Commando and Predator.
Right. No, that's fair. Sure.
At the time of the 80s, I should say.
Yeah.
Obviously, and again, not to take, and of course, Terminator, which is there as well. So
84.
You got the one-liners. It's very 80s, that's exactly its charm.
Yes.
This is everything we say about the slasher movies that we love and watch, and you get that here in spades. There's not a lot of character developed. There's enough to string the movie along. 75 fucking minutes. Like, what are you gonna get from here? With as many kills and it's fun.
It's a good setup for the final girl. You know, being the good girl and the guy she meets kind of being a little awkward and coming out of his shell and getting them two together. I like that. You actually see a nice relationship between the married couple that married young, and you feel bad when she dies. And so there is enough. It actually does work. And the kids are fine. There's no jerks among them, I don't think. And they're just, the time you spend with them is just enough that's all you need. So it's done well in that respect.
Right. They don't make anybody an ass. Like nowadays, you'd have one asshole for sure. Everybody seems to get along. In fact, they get along so well, they're all just sort of fucking each other, one bed away from each other, in the department store where all the beds are. Like they just leave like one bed in between as kind of a courtesy. But it's all open, and they're all fooling around with each other, which is really funny to watch.
That's how it should be. See, it always makes me a little sad.
Yeah, the good old days. Yeah,
it is. To me, it is the good old days, and it makes me sad to see it because I'm like, it's too bad we had to change. It's too bad adults don't do this stuff now. Why do people have to grow up? Because I don't.
Why are we not all fucking in a department store together?
Yeah, I would still do it. How great would that be? Yeah, seriously. And on top of it, people don't think it's such a big deal when they think it's a big deal, but like they swap partners back in the day more freely, and it's not as big of a deal.
I think you're living in a fantasy world, Dave. I don't know.
I know, but it sucks.
Some people did, but I mean, I masturbated in a department store way back when, and it was frowned down upon. I do it nowadays, it's still frowned down upon. I mean, nothing's changed in my eyes. I lay down in the bed. I made sure there's a couple of bed, in between me and the other shoppers, and whether it was the 80s or now, it's frowned down upon.
You kind of have to do it though, because you got to test the merchandise before you buy it. So you got to lay down in the bed and say, how much squeaking is there going to be? See, we're on the right page when I'm doing my thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to whip it out, do your thing, either that or have sex with your wife or whatever it is.
Exactly.
And usually
I wasn't married back in the 80s.
Well, there you go. See, that's what I'm saying. The early days, everybody just partied and everything else. I could still hang out all night long with 3 other couples my age and go to a place like that.
Lionel Richie style?
Drink and screw. It'd be great, dude. I think it's more fun than just sitting home like average Joe and Jane every fucking day of your life. That's a problem. I never wanted to grow up, and I still don't. And I'm like, man, why did people have to move on to that shit? I guess so our kids can do it instead of us eventually. I don't know.
Well, because you might be the creepy guy that's trying to fuck all the... I want to grow up. That should be our horror movie. The man who never grew up.
Wouldn't that be something?
I don't want to change.
I like myself. You know who said that?
Yeah.
So, how about when he was not excited, when he was disappointed that it was $1.25 for cigarettes? Like, holy shit, $1.25. Now they're like freaking, now it's like 10 times that much. Yeah. Right? That's
Does it make you sad when you see like gas prices? They didn't do it in this one, but like the $1.25 is a perfect example. Or I watched Last American Virgin when he brings like a pizza and like a 6-pack of alcoholic beverages. He's like, oh, that's $1.50 for the drinks. I'm like, $1.50 for the drinks. Wow. Is that just bad movie dialogue and they didn't even actually add it up, or is that a sign of like 1981? What you could get $1.50, you get like 6-pack of like alcoholic drinks.
Shit beer though, yeah, that's like Milwaukee's best. You maybe get $1.50.
Hey, I'll take it. If it's good enough for Milwaukee, it's good enough for me. Milwaukee. I don't know what I said there, but I meant Milwaukee. Yeah.
Hey, what is it with Alabama? The other day I heard Heather again talk shit about fucking Alabama. Does Canada Does Canada have some type of thing where there's like an
It's
anti-Alabama agenda?
I didn't even know this. I don't know. It just seems to be the state that we just picked up on. It's great. I don't know why. It just became that state.
Maybe it's on your Sesame Street. Maybe it was like on a Canadian Sesame Street, and it came up, hey, Alabama, and they showed some guy, like one tooth and a straw in his mouth and drinking beer and a hat. I don't know.
Fucking his sister.
Fucking his sister on Sesame Street.
Shaving. You shave fucking in Alabama.
Shave fucking. Oh man, Lordy. And how about when the guy says, for sure, already the same show. When the guy says Klaatu Verata Niktu. Did you know that he said that?
Yeah. They just so that obviously was a thing. But from where? Obviously not like Evil Dead yet.
Well, Evil Dead was out in '81, but Evil Dead 2 didn't come out till the year after this. So I don't know. Did they say that in that movie?
I thought they said it in Army of Darkness.
Well, maybe.
Now I've got to go back, and that's '93. So I got to figure out now, because I thought that same thing. I'm like, wait a second. But in traditional fashion, I didn't research it. But
a phrase I got it. It is a phrase that originated in the 1951 science fiction film The Day the Earth Stood Still. The humanoid alien protagonist of the film, Klaatu, instructs Helen Benson that if any harm befalls him, she must say the phrase to the robot Gort. So there you go.
There you go. Okay.
So they took it from Day the Earth Stood Still.
So that's why that's even funnier in this movie.
Right. They did it before Evil Dead.
Well, they're using it because it's robots. That's actually really funny.
Yeah, it is. Holy shit.
That's actually good writing. That's a good joke.
It is a good joke.
That I laughed at because of the Evil Dead reference or the Army of Darkness reference, but it's funny now knowing that that's where it came from, which makes even way more sense, and it fits this movie perfectly. He just yells it out.
And speaking of robots, you know who the robot voice was? The guy that does the voice? Have a nice day and all that stuff?
No, enlighten me. I don't know.
Jim Wynorski. Yeah, it's the old Tommy Lee Wallace thing. You know how Tommy Lee Wallace does the voice? Buy the Halloween 3. You know, when he's for the commercial?
Yeah.
Isn't that cool, though, by the way, that they actually say Halloween 3 in Halloween 3 in that commercial? The masks are called the Halloween 3. Did you know that?
That's a very good trivia point. I did not know that.
Boom. Yep.
Bada boom.
Yeah.
Bada bit.
There you go.
So
robot voice. What do I got? Kelly is a Deadeye, and she was. Oh, and they even reference it after that she was a Deadeye. Oh, my father was a Marine or some shit like that. How about?
Yeah. She throws it out there. Yeah.
He's a Deadeye, ain't he? You know what that is?
I just love the amount of shooting they do, and the amount of filled propane tanks they've got in this place. Right. It's great. Oh, that's what I wanted to research this, and I didn't. So I'll just bring it up as a point on the show. When they first went into this mall again, and not seen this movie in a while, but watching Commando a few times since, I want to know if it's the same mall that Commando was filmed in, because it looked almost the same.
Maybe it's on the B. I don't know. Filming locations on the B.
Let me look. Yeah. While you are researching and talking.
I'll talk. I like the mannequins thing. I thought that was a good idea to be a little, to divert the laser blast on them. That was a smart use of the mannequins by the kids.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Mannequin-rinos?
Holy shit. The mannequin-rinos, of course. Holy shit. The most terrifying part of the whole movie is freaking in the climax with Kelly when the robots are doing her thing and she's got to deal with the snakes and the spiders. Oh, dude.
It was the same mall. Second piece of trivia. Filmed in the Sherwood Oaks Galleria, the same mall used in Commando. Bada beam!
Look at this
That's why research is overrated. Just do it on the spot.
You're right. It's more fun. You're right.
Did you see how excited I got there? I got fucking giddy. This is what brings me joy nowadays. Finding out that this was shot in the same fucking mall as Commando, and the thought sort of entered my mind, hey, it's just the same mall as Commando, and the amount of joy I got from here is almost embarrassing.
It's great, though. It's the little things in life. It's like I always say, don't rob yourself of them. That's why I don't watch trailers, because the amount of joy I get when I go to a movie and I see something come on the screen that I wasn't expecting, that I wasn't spoiled, I'm like, oh, wow. See? Same thing. This is little moments in life, man. It's the little moments that make it. It isn't how many breaths you take. It's the moments that take your breath away.
Wow, there's two songs you just like. I don't know now if I go with the Police or if I go with
Berlin.
Berlin? Is that who sings Take My Breath Away? I thought that was Heart. No, that wasn't Heart.
Nope, it was Berlin. You know, trust me, it's music. I know it.
Oh, yeah, it's music, Mister. I don't know who Imagine Dragons are.
No, I don't know modern shit.
Music. But it's not like, even by accident, you can't not have heard of these guys. They've been around for so long. You're fucking crazy. It's crazy. Anyway.
It's a kid show.
Yeah.
Hey, Frankie. Okay, here's my wife. Let's see. Hey, Irene.
Yeah, she knows.
Do you know? Okay, hold on. Do you know what Imagine Dragons are? She said no. There you go.
Get the fuck out of here. Fuck. There you go. No Tonawonda's in a fucking...
If you had to guess, what were Imagine Dragons? A child's story, she said.
Yeah.
Did you say store or story? Story, okay, yeah.
Get your daughter.
Story.
I can't trust anybody but your daughter.
She's not, but see, she's not like me. She watches the news. She listens to radio. She's out. She's not like me where she stays in a circle. And even she doesn't.
I'm not saying it's a great band, but I'm saying the popularity. I'm saying the popularity is so huge that the fact that you both don't know who they are is shocking me. By accident, you need to know who they are. Just by accident.
Oh God! Well, we don't. That's two people.
It's fucking. It boggles my. Listen, look. I gotta read this. I gotta read it. Chris, A.K.A. Scott. I love this guy because he says what's on my mind a lot of times, and he reaches out and tells me things. Oh my God! He actually texted while we were recording the show, sending me a picture of the last episode. He said, "Haha, you gagged when Dave was talking about the girl gulping down maggots." I did gag. But here it is. Here's me talking about
too. Speaking of her, wow.
Yeah, that's what you brought up. Yeah. So he quoted you, Dave. What are Imagine Dragons? Is that something on ice? Unbelievable. Mr. Music has never heard of one of the most popular pop rock bands of the last decade. I mean, they do suck,
your answer.
But I've heard a ton of their songs, obviously. Dave is a fantastical wonder of a human being.
Thank you.
Sums it up perfectly.
Well, number one, I don't listen to radio because I don't do commercials and because I have everything I need right here, my own playlist, my own albums, my own songs.
The same.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah.
Why would I be subjected to pop radio when I don't listen to it at all? Where do I go? I live at my house. I don't watch TV, regular TV, unless it's football live. I go to work. When I get to work, if I don't hear about it in that little room with 6 or 7 other people that I work with, I don't know what's happening in the world, and I come home. Now, when I see my friends on Friday nights or any other time, nobody's ever brought up Imagine Dragons. So what can I tell you?
Well, I would question them if they did. I can understand it. I guarantee your daughter, no question, Francesca's heard of them. No question.
I would imagine she heard them. I wish she was down here. I'll send her.
Would you imagine Dragons? Sorry. Let's rate this bad boy because we got the fly to get to.
Okay, all right. 7 out of 10.
Bingo bango. You know what? I'll even go 7.5. I'll give it a half point edge because of that short running time. If I always shit on movies for being so long, I'm going to give this one credit for knowing when to get out. 7.5 out of 10.
There you go. And I want to point out that red screwdriver. There's this one scene when you see a screwdriver in a room and it's red and it has like little black things on it. We had the exact same screwdriver in my house when we were kids. We had that whole set of those red screwdrivers. And I was like, oh, look at that. And the Spider-Man bank was in this movie, which I've seen in another bank, which actually, if I ever released a movie where
I remember that.
Yeah, it was in there. It was in this one too. If I ever release the movie where we killed Spider-Man, you'll see it on our YouTube channel. But I killed Spider-Man when I was a kid using that bank. So, there you go.
So now, while you're trying to get an answer, I'm going to introduce our next film. What does she say? Yes, they're a popular band. Radioactive is a good song for them. See, the only one with a fucking sense in that house.
Yeah, because she's a kid. Because she's 16. I'm sorry, I don't listen to 16-year-old anthem music.
Yeah, well, I hear you.
My cup of tea.
Okay.
All right, things that I'm not into, I tend to avoid. That kind of makes me a happy person to a degree. See?
Yeah, okay. I will stop and just talk about the next film, which is The Fly from 1986, directed, of course, by David Cronenberg. A brilliant but eccentric scientist begins to transform into a giant man/fly hybrid after one of his experiments goes horribly wrong.
Okay, before I talk about the movie proper, I want to give another funny story that I was once called by a kid I used to go to school with, Brundlefly. He used to call him, but I didn't know what it was. And I'll tell you why. There's a reason he called me this. 1986, when this movie comes out, I didn't go to the theater to see it, but I was fresh into junior high school, meaning that I'm meeting kids that I didn't go to grammar school with, and I'm meeting them for the first time at this school. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's a couple different grammar schools in the area, or elementary schools, whatever you want to call them, the K through 6 at the time. Now, in 7th grade, you go to junior high or middle school, whatever you want to call it. When I was young, it was called the junior high school. So I go to this junior high school, and I'm fresh into the school. Now that means I'm meeting more people my age. I'm making more friends, another crowd, and more importantly, I'm seeing girls that I've never seen before from other schools. So now, when I'm in the lunchroom, I'm like this. Because I'm seeing all these new little chicks running around, and I'm digging them. And so, because of the way I'm always moving my head around quick and looking at all these new girls, he starts calling me Brundle. Just Brundle. He goes, "Hey, Brundle over here, Brundlefly." I'm like, "What that?" I didn't see the movie. I didn't know. But he was saying because of the way I would move my head around quick, like Brundlefly, to check out these girls. So if I saw this guy to this day, his name is Lee Ballsover. Actually, he's a cop in this
What?
area.
Whoa.
Yes,
What is
that's
his name?
Lee, Lee, Ballsover.
Oh my Lord. This guy had the gall to make fun of any. I would have been the quietest fucking guy in school if my name was Lee Ballsover. What?
He's actually a kind of a cool cat too. Ballsover. So, but yeah, Lee Ballsover. He. If I saw him now,
holy fuck,
he would say, "Hey, Brundle." He always called me Brundle, like all through high school, but at the time I didn't know what Brundle and Brundlefly was. So anyway, I just thought I've never talked about that.
I can't get enough of this. Oh my God. He's the third podcast. If we're doing it finding a third host, I don't even care if the guy can't even talk. If he's a mute, we're having him on because his name is Ballsover.
Ballsover. I mean, it was funny at
this
first.
Movie, Lee. Actually, Lee, I don't give a fuck what you think of this movie. Ballsover.
Yeah, move your balls over and give me some move.
Yeah. Let me dip these balls over your mouth.
Holy shit. I
Balls
gotta tell him
over.
about this. I haven't talked to him in years. I gotta tell him about Brundle and
balls over. That's awesome.
Yeah,
but that's actually a great thing that he picked up on. Just the way you're like.
Yeah, it is funny. Yeah, it is a great thing because I've always been a horn dog, so I can't help it. I'm a kid and I'm seeing all these new hot chicks I've never seen before. I'm like, that's all I'm doing the whole lunch class is checking out these new girls. You know what I mean?
It's so funny because I know you've always said that this is your favorite Cronenberg movie.
Oh, wow.
And I've always said I've liked it. I've really enjoyed it. It's always been great, but I've never put it up on a pedestal the way that I usually put up, of course, Videodrome, or that we've put up The Dead Zone, or that even talked about in Dead Ringers. And again, that's not even getting into his earlier works as well. This movie is great. This movie is great. And you know, another thing is it's really fast paced. It's an hour and a half long. And I feel like they make you believe everything. The way that they get introduced at that meeting, the relationship that they have. The one thing I will say, they one bit of works there. It's just the timing of how long this relationship's gone on. But they do mention that I think 4 weeks have gone by at one point. So that works for me. That's enough. That's all I need in the movie. But I just, at one point at the beginning, I wasn't too sure if we're supposed to just think 2 days have gone by or if we're a month into the relationship. And I think there is maybe like a 2 month or so process through this whole thing. But it's played out like it could have happened over a course of a few days initially. But if you pay attention, you'll notice that piece of dialogue that said, you know, I've been trying to reach out to you. It's been 4 weeks or a few weeks or whatever it may be. So at least that time frame's gone by for sure. But it's great. They're two great actors. really Gina Davis, although she had been in a show and Tootsie and a few other things, secondary roles, this is where her career kind of like 85, 86 to 88, like in that range is where she really hit the roles that I think she was really, remember for. I mean, I know that she did Thelma and Louise later, like this, Beetlejuice,
Right, yeah.
Oh fuck! What else? There was. What am I forgetting? That is the one that I was thinking of that came out right before this.
I can't remember.
Fletch. She was in Fletch, and then she was also in that
Fletch.
Transylvania 5,000.
5,000. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Earth Girls Are Easy and Accidental Tourists were after. So I mean, she had this big, just run, and that's where you knew because she hasn't done she's done a great amount of movies in her career, and we all know her name. But I mean, when you actually look at her filmography, I think it's 55 or 53 things done,
Smart.
which is again nothing to shake. That's great, and we remember it. But I mean, you look at Jeff Goldblum, I think he's in 150 things.
Right. I like her style better, man.
Or more.
I like her style better. She made enough money to make herself happy. She only worked that many times. That's how I would do it. Unless you make some bad investments or do something stupid and you have to keep working, or you just love it. Some people just love it. Again,
I love it. 141 credits for him. Sorry for cutting you off.
Okay. No, I'm saying I think of everything as a business. I only work because I have to work. Do I love working? No. Would I love being a director or a writer for movies? Yes, but I would still want to stop after a certain point. Unless I couldn't. Yeah. If I'm Stephen King and I have so many ideas coming, I got to keep. But again, for people like Stephen King, it's almost like what I say about Trey with fish. They got to keep going. It keeps them sober. They need to have their mind occupied. That's what I truly believe about people that have had addiction issues, that they have to keep themselves. And because I'm the same way. My addiction, it's not an addiction, but it's in the past, I can regress toward depressive thoughts if I allow myself to sit there and stew on them. As long as I keep myself busy and always have something going on, it won't let me think about anything that brings me down. So I can relate to that in a way. I got to keep my mind occupied. Thank goodness for podcasts, because honestly, that's what it does. It's that I have to watch this movie or this, or right now I'm doing the adding up the stuff for the episode 200. There's always something keeping me busy that way. And it keeps me from sitting and thinking about things that I'd rather not think about. So same thing for Alex, I suppose. Anyway.
Well, and now getting back to this, I mean,
this movie,
again, great. And when you really look at it in the canon of Cronenberg films, it really fits the mold of his films, especially with all the dialogue of the flesh. Because it just seemed to be an expansion of not just Videodrome, but of pretty much his whole theme, all the themes from Shivers, or They Came From Within and beyond. It was always a theme. It just seems that right after having because the Dead Zone kind of departed from that, but from Videodrome to this, it's like a nice little tie-in in a sense, just from that thematic element and the flesh. Just there's something about the flesh, and it seems to be the one mystery that he can't seem to figure out. But it's a sad story too, because he's a genius. It's not like he did anything wrong, and in a drunken stupor, not even a stupor, just in a drunken state, he had to try it out, and it's not even. He would have been fine had that fly not made its way into the damn chamber. And it's sad. It's funny. That I was like, this time around, I appreciated this movie even more. Again, when I first saw it, I appreciated it for the gore gags and the effects. Not that I didn't care about the story, but I knew it was a remake, and I said, wow, this is really well made, from delivering on the gooey gore and everything else. But as I got older, you appreciate the relationship and the story structure as well as the gore gags. And it just was like one of my favorite watches. And it's not because because I've openly admit I love through. I've got some problems with his movies, and I like his early run, pretty much up to Naked Lunch, more so than anything that came afterward. I like History of Violence. I like Eastern Promises. I like them. They're not his horror films, though. I haven't seen Crimes of the Future. That's one of the ones on my list. I'm hoping to be able that it comes out to be able to see it. I wasn't blown away by the preview, but I'm being optimistic. Just being optimistic.
I forgot about
But anyway, his body work is very impressive. He keeps working. He keeps doing what he wants to do, which is what I respect and what you'd want to be able to do as a director. But this body of work here, from They Came From Within all the way to Dead Ringers, really is like just fantastic. Varying degrees. Like, I mean, they go from I like to I love, but there's no bad movies on that batch.
Right. No, I feel you. He's very, very consistent. And you know what? Another Cronenbergism is the relationship between the man and the woman having split up in something that's happened in the past. Very much like The Brood. And he was speaking, I guess, apparently on his own divorce when he made that one. But the whole thing about her dating the ex, not dating the ex, but at one time dating him, and then still he has the key and he shows up and that in their relationship. What's great about this movie, on top of the pacing, which I have multiple notes about this, how this movie hits the ground running with the story. Boom, immediately. Here, introduced at this party. Okay, let's go right to this. We don't see him go into full fly until 30 minutes left in the movie. So the first act hits the ground running. Let's get to know each other. Let's do this. Let me tell you what it's going to be about. The second act is all the stuff that's going on. Because he's already transported and becoming the fly. And the third act is the freaking, when he goes basically full fly and everything else and everything that happens there. It is so perfectly paced.
Yeah.
I've always said this.
He drinks and goes into the chamber at the first turning point. That's like the first turning point.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then when he comes out and looks at that baboon and says, "Do I look normal to you?" or whatever I just love that delivery. Jeff Goldblum, he was supposedly overlooked. Like, I think Cronenberg wanted him. I believe I got the story right. There's so many extras on this Blu-ray. I'll get to that separately.
I know.
But Cronenberg, I think, wanted him. I'm going by memory here, not by anything I saw. But the studio did not. And I think there was a fight to get him to be in it. And he's so perfectly cast as that kind of, because people talk about what's his face, Christopher Walken, having a way of dictating the way he speaks and whatnot. Goldblum is very, very similar to that. He has a way that he talks, and it just seems to, but it seemed to have carried over into some of his other performances where you're like, that's Jeff Goldblum, like whether it be Independence Day or Jurassic Park. It always seemed to be that same way of delivering the line. Like, I mean, that was, why you got him, almost like he was tried and true. It fit the thing, but here it was kind of still new, and it just works so well for this eccentric scientist.
Oh man, he's great. She's great. She was brought in at his request because they were dating in real life at the time.
Yeah, I thought they got married too or whatever, but it was short-lived. And then after this movie or whatever it may be, but that worked. I mean, I like even the ex-husband in character. I mean, I'm onto something big here. What, his cock? Fucking that line makes me laugh every time. And it's exactly what you'd think as a jealous ex. But they actually give him kind of redemption because he's a dick. Like, he does dicky things throughout the movie. But then he comes to her rescue because he does care about her. So I mean, it's one of those things that, like, you're kind of cheering because if he wasn't there at the end, she would have died. No question.
Right. You're right. Of course. Right.
So that dynamic works very well, like that little triangle there. It's what got Brundle in trouble. Bundle or Brundle? I keep saying Brundle without an R. Brundle, it's right. Yeah, okay. So Brundle, so that's like him being jealous, thinking that she's gone to see her ex, is what gets him keep drinking the champagne and saying, "Fuck it, you're okay," to the baboon and hopping in. Yeah, and I was thinking that baboon. I was thinking every time I see an animal now, I think it's going to attack people. So and baboons are not very docile. Like they're very, very like wild and not necessarily the friendliest. So the fact that they use them.
Well, the thing is this. Apparently, they got lucky because of Jeff Goldblum's stature, like physical stature. He was able to dominate them. And they said if it would have been a different actor, it may have ended up being really bad on the set. That somehow he ended up having a connection with them because somehow he dominated them and it worked. It worked out. So, but apparently they do all kinds of things, and apparently they do things to females too. And like there was like things that have been said about when they use those baboons in The Omen. You know that one scene when they go see, because there's a whole story to that, by the way. And you know what? They couldn't even get those baboons at first to go crazy when they went to the zoo with Damien when he was a little boy. You know how they got them to go crazy? They took the beta. Pardon me. They took the alpha male, and they put him in the car with them. And that's why the freaking and that's how they got the baboons to go crazy. But then it ended up getting so crazy they had to get her out. But apparently they are known to mess with the female more. And I don't know if that means sexually or not. I don't know, but why would they go right for the female? I don't know. I could be making something out of nothing, but I know that they're known to be. They can't be domesticated. They're very hard to train. They're so like you said, but somehow it worked out with Goldblum being on the set that it made things so much easier. Lucky for them, but it was just one of those.
Even some of the things that we overlook is just even the design of the pods. Now I can't remember. I'm trying to remember. I know we did Curse of the Fly, I believe, as from a request from way back when, and I wasn't as high on it, but I remember going back when you think of the Vincent Price original. I can't remember the design of the pods. I really don't remember.
It's a clear box, I think.
Okay, but they're very unique. I love the look of these
Me too.
Pods. That part is kind of overlooked. His studio apartment. I love it.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah, it's so fucking cool, and just again the way they progress the relationship. So she thinks he's being kind of a creep or kind of like coming on too strong, like come back to my apartment, when he really is not really meaning it, just doesn't really know how to talk to people because he's been so isolated, and he's interested in whatever. Then when he realizes the extent of her wanting to report on him, I love that and how that progresses the story. Listen, I know you're a reporter, but let's not let me hold off. Wait for me here. And why don't you think of the bigger picture? And he seems to have convinced her of that point. But then because the ex-husband gets involved, it's like he's fast tracking it to piss her off because he's like now trying to show dominance because he's mad that she's found someone else and is in love with somebody else and whatever. So it all just feels so organic in the way that it kind of unfolds from the relationships to the way the story unfolds. And you're right. The pace is perfect.
Boy.
Introduction, and you're like, why doesn't turn into the fight of the last act? Well, not really. I mean, it's the way, because you've got to get it started, and the introduction and everything else. It's all interesting. He puts himself through turning point, and then it's all right. He's got the coarse hairs. His skin starts getting bad. He does what was at the time the most infamous, not kill, but effect where he breaks it just looks so real, and it's so off-putting.
Great effect.
Where he breaks the arm.
They got the Oscar.
I know, and it's well deserved. Does it go too far? I think not for us horror fans, but if for mainstream audiences, absolutely. I think this went way beyond what they were expecting to see from a gore standpoint and from an effect standpoint. Like when he goes full fly, when she looks at him at the end and she pulls his mouth off, and then he just flies out essentially.
Right.
And its legs break off. It is beautiful. And the sequel, the only thing really good about the sequel is the fly and the gore effects of that sequel.
I don't hate the sequel.
No, I don't hate it either. But I mean, it actually has just as much, if not more, gore in it. That head crushing scene was good. There's some great things that happen in the sequel. That sequel does get shit on. But it's actually,
that's why
there's actually
if it was just a movie that wasn't related to The Fly, it was called something else and a similar story some other way. You know what I mean? It was just like tweaked a little bit and called something else. People would be looking at it like it was, oh, you know what? That was a pretty good direct-to-video flick that came out in the 90s. You know, that's how people would look at it.
The gore, if you're a gore hound, both Flies are great movies to watch. I mean, it's difficult to say nowadays when you compare it to everything that's come out, because now it's like all the stuff we wanted back then, uncensored, be able to deliver. But when you lived in the era of censorship and these movies that were typically heavily cut, and you'd only get a handful of them that would come out unrated, or you'd get them unrated on video, then it was always great decided movie that both Flies delivered the goods when it came to gore. Both of them, the Fly and the Fly 2, both did. But anyway, back to this one again. You said the acting and everything, and the fact that Jeff Goldblum, I mean, he's really under all that makeup until the very end, when it's just a puppet at that point.
It's great though, man. And yes, it's like you said about he's not the Fly to the third act, but it's the second act and seeing him fall apart that is the toughest to watch. That's the body. That's the stuff that when you talk about freaking the two biggest things, teeth and nails, in the same scene, dude. Every time I watch it, I'm like, oh no, 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 no. I'm telling you, it still gets me, but that's why I love it, because it can get me. You know what I mean? No matter how many times I see it. Same thing, man. But that's the stuff to me. That's just again,
demons in this movie. Demons had the nails in the teeth, and so did this. And it just
But this is a metaphor for disease. Ultimately, that's what he was going for here. A couple gets together, and one of them gets sick with the disease, like a cancerous thing, and that's what this is. And when it first came out, people were trying to say that it was, is this a critique about AIDS? Because that's when AIDS was really in the forefront of in this and that and everything else, and people were reading into it. And he's always said that no, it's about change from disease, actual disease, and things that happen and how it's looked at and everything else. And
he actually thinks he might have cancer at the beginning. He mentions that as an offshoot. Right. Maybe I got cancer from it or whatever. Like he got like too much radiation or something. Yeah.
Right. He does say, he goes, cancer. He goes, this is how it started. And he says, but then later on he says it, I'm not just going to be another tumorous bore talking about my hair falling out and this and that. Again, talking about being, someone with cancer. So it's, yeah, man, it's freaking scary to think about.
The score. We didn't talk about the score. Beautiful score.
Of course.
A Cronenberg, like pretty much worked with them on almost all of his movies.
Yep.
At least back in this time. And it's such a great score. No one really talks about this one. I feel, again, I've heard them talk about it. It's so effective. It's great. And it's sad even. Like, it's just the way sometimes, and even like when the puppet portion of the Fly puts the gun up to his head to tell Gina Davis to kind of just finish him off.
Right.
Oh, man.
No.
And the movie just ends. Like, it literally, she's crying and it fades out. And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's sad. It's very sad. I mean, the beginning stuff is great, though, when he first starts getting the effects. That's the fun stuff of the movie. When he's early on and he's doing all the stuff and he's doing all the acrobatics and swinging around and jumping and the arm breaking of the guy. But even before that, because, that's when things start to go to hell. But at first, I always it felt like somebody on acid. But I read about it and they were saying it's more of a cocaine thing. But when he is having that intellectual discussion, when he's adding all that sugar to his stuff and everything else, and he's wide awake, he wants to keep going,
that conversation,
and having these discussions, and he's talking real fast and he's getting into all this stuff. To me, that's, if you've ever done acid, that's like acid. That's like the first couple hours of it. That's freaking, you go in, you get that speed, and you feel real good in the city, you talk, and you can start to get into intellectual stuff. But again, it's also it's the upper part, it's the cocaine, so I see it. But it always reminds me of like being on acid, how much energy he has and everything else. He wants to keep going. Even he walks fast. He's all into it. And you could see her looking at him. And she's like, what the fuck? What's going on with this guy?
Well, because at first it does seem like, holy shit, is there like does this teleportation even more than just teleportation? Does it rejuvenate yourself almost without realizing, of course, what has happened?
Right. Oh, it's so good. And then you see it falling apart. But ultimately later on, what we get, two good things happen in this movie. We get a great jump scare and we get a great dream sequence. Two things that are played out nowadays that are done wrong, where in this case and in this movie they work just fine. And I'll say this, I said this before when we did it on 22 Shots. This movie, the setup and the way it goes and everything, this is like a classic. This is a modern day, well, not modern day, a modern day for 1986 movie monster story, like a Universal monster movie brought into the 80s. We still don't see movies like this that feel like that.
He actually
feels like that.
Steals her, right? Remember, from the apartment.
Yes, what I'm saying.
Like an old monster movie. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Yeah, you don't see that anymore. Like, pick her up and jump out the window with her. It's right out of an old monster movie.
100%. This feels more like the classics do than the original one from the 50s do, which, if that makes any sense.
All the remakes kind of did, like, at the time, they weren't all, none of them actually, maybe this one was the most accepted at the time, but The Thing, The Fly, and The Blob are all fantastic. But at the time, I think only The Fly got credit. The thing was kind of overlooked. It bombed, kind of got a resurgence thereafter, as we know. The Blob, kind of the same thing. It didn't do very well at the theaters, and then kind of got a following.
That's why.
You think?
Blob was more. Well, hold on, let me explain.
Yeah, comparatively, I mean, it was a teen. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's more for teen. It's a teen crowd movie where The
Fly's an adult one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. But you're right, because what they did is where I was going is, you know how we always say, if you're going to remake it. I think all three did it well. They took the ideas, and they even took some of the classic scenes but reinvented them. You can't have a little fly with a human head going, help me, help me. It would have been laughed at. So they took that out because that was dated from 1950s to when you're doing it. And now he says, help me. God, please help me. But it's out of desperation, out of sheer terror that he's feeling. And it works so beautiful. Like, to work that line in, the fact that you've got the monster, him grabbing her, pulling her out, like they work all this old monster movie shit into a modern movie, but make it work. And you're right. It absolutely is perfection when it comes to that. And I've never given this movie the highest rating. I've always said like 8.5, 9 or whatever. Like, I've always been in that range. But this is like, I'm like, I don't understand why I've always been hard on this one. I watch it. I love it. It goes right by. I don't know why I've had this, where the nitpicking is. Why am I holding it back? Because
there's nothing wrong. I can't think of anything wrong with this movie.
No, you're absolutely right.
Right.
The opening credits are good. And then I was talking about, not that this plays into the rating, but the Blu-ray, for instance, I'm sure it's even cheaper in the States. I got this Blu-ray for about $11. I think it's $11.99. It's checked. $11.99 on Amazon right now, shipped to you. And it is, the quality looks great. I don't even know if a 4K would make much of a difference. Maybe it would. I don't know. But this looks great. I just watched it like last night. Looks amazing. The features on this, you get a commentary, you get 2 documentaries, you get a couple of other things. Like, I mean, it's huge. Like, the extras were huge. It's not a bare bones, here's the movie, that's it. Right. It's got a ton of fucking extras on it. So it's well worth, if you like the movie, that's Blu-ray is perfect.
I agree.
And the movie looks great.
I would still love for Arrow to pick it up and 4K it and add even more special features.
Well, because everybody's around still. So you can get new interviews, you can get new commentaries, you can get everything. So from that standpoint, yeah, you're probably right. But even like when I watched I started watching one of the things, I want to watch the special features, but I also don't want to sway by me making that the information that I deliver when we're on the show all the time. So I'm like, I did it with a little bit with Phenomenon, whatever, but I want to balance it. But Gina Davis, what I liked about her is in one of them, because I started watching one of them and I turned it off, not because it was boring, but I just wanted to watch something else. She loved horror films. Which I love, and I love hearing that. And she talks about the scene about not wanting to take it too far, but you never know until you watch it with an audience. And when she sees him and his ear falls off, and then she embraces him, she says that almost got the most reaction from the audience. They're going, because she hugs him on the side where his ear fell off. So it's like she put her head to the gooey side of his head. And it is like, I watched it too. I'm like, that's the why that side? And so it's funny that I guess resonated with audiences at the time of being like a standout gross out scene without actually the ear itself falling off is gross, but there's nothing gross when she hugs him. It just happens to be on that side.
And you know what? Another factoid about that, her reaction to that ear falling off in the movie is real. She didn't know that was happening in that scene.
Oh,
or something like that. All I know, I forgot it. I read it last night, dude. There's a whole lot of stuff in the IMDb trivia, a lot. But one of the things that stuck out was that the ear fell off. And be very afraid, which became this real common term. That was started in here, obviously, when she says it. But it was, guess who came up with it? Mel Brooks, who was a producer.
This is Brooks' film. He did this one and the sequel.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, Brooks film in horror.
I know. Interesting, huh? Yeah. So he came up with it somehow. But that's brilliant what you said. I never thought about that, the help me thing. That they did bring it back, and he said, I didn't put 2 and 2 together there. that please help me and
Yeah.
help me from the original. That's the way they worked it in so well.
Yeah,
Holy
that's
shit.
the remake for how do we make this relevant and how do we make this work for modern day audience. And it was so iconic in the original, but you couldn't copy it, not because it would be a carbon copy, it just wouldn't fly. No pun intended. In '86, waka waka waka. In '86, so they had to do it a different way, and they sell it. They sell it.
And the wall climbing scene is awesome the way it's done,
Yeah,
and that little talk about fly politics, that's just like sad. That
yeah,
whole thing that he gets into and everything, that's when you really
yeah.
feel bad for him when he says, "I'm an insect." You know what I mean? Who dreamt he was a man and loved it, and now the dream is over. That's fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah, I love it. I love it though too, and I
Yes.
love that.
Yes.
And then ultimately to say, "Get out, or I'm going to hurt you."
I'm gonna hurt you. Yeah. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Wow.
and that, yeah, you're right, and it's just,
Serious.
oh, yeah,
What a film. I'm glad you came up
yeah,
on it. How high? I want
no,
to know. Well, let's hear it.
oh no, it's a 10 out of 10. I've like, yeah, now that's what I'm saying. It's funny, like I've given so much credit to Cronenberg, but then really at the end of the day, I've always said that it was like Videodrome, and then more recently even just the Dead Zone. And
Right.
then Dead Ringers, and even Dead Ringers, I have to rewatch that because I've never given it a 10. I've always been like 9. I've always loved it, but 9, and I always had this, like I said, 8.5, 9. I'm like, why? But watching it there, I'm like it was just like, this is great, and like you said, there's nothing wrong with it. It just
Nothing.
boom, 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 done, and it delivers on everything in the gore. I can see maybe some people nitpicking that when he becomes the Muppet Fly, maybe it looks a little
Ah,
awkward, but again, you're nitpicking them because now you've got to. It's difficult to look at it in retrospect. We're looking at practical effects here, which are fucking top notch.
right. That's it. You can't. There's nothing you can knock. You can't knock the effects, the acting, the story, the freaking what else? The pacing, the soundtrack, the score, everything that's freaking. There's nothing you could say negative. There's so few movies that I could say this about. And of course, for me, it's a 10 out of 10. It's one of the illustrious 54 because I know how many I have because of my list now. But it's been there. It's always been a
Yeah.
10 out of 10. I didn't see it when it first came out. Like I said, I saw it a little later. But the last 3 times I saw it, it's always been, and it's been like the last like 20 years, 15
Well,
years.
remember, I only got into horror in around, like, it was. This is where it was starting. I would see certain things, and I've told the stories here before. I saw some shit when I was younger, and that's
Yep.
what scared me. But the intrigue of now pursuing it as something that I wanted to watch was starting at that 86, 87 time
Mm-hmm.
frame. But it wasn't really until 88 that it really took off, that I started watching them, seeing them in the theater, seeing them more consistently. Like
Yeah.
that's where the fascination 87, the second half of 87 and 88. That's when it really started to becoming a little bit more of something that I was seeking out. Like again, in my psyche, if I had to analyze what I was doing, is confront my enemy.
Huh.
This is what scared me. I must confront it
Right on. Right.
to beat
Good.
it. And that's
Good.
where the fascination came from. And so
Metaphor for
I
life.
saw this. I saw it like pretty early because I actually I gravitated to a lot of the Cronenberg ones, not because he was Canadian at the time. I heard again based on what I was reading in Fangoria and even Chaz Berlin that I brought up on the show. He was always really high on Romero and Cronenberg, so I just gravitated to see Romero and Cronenberg, and
Yes.
then some Argentos. I saw a lot of that stuff early. Fulci a little bit, but Fulci I didn't go full Fulci
Full
until more
Fulci.
recently.
I didn't
Yeah.
go full cheap.
Yeah. It's been one of those shows today.
Man, that's great. I want to say about where it was filmed because you said that, and I had this whole thing in the. It's in the IMDb in the trivia there. Like I said, there's
It-
so much.
there has to
Like
be a
freaking
part filmed in
half an
Toronto
hour.
because I swear it was a street away from
Here it
where I
is.
lived with my wife in Liberty Village.
While the
Uh,
setting is never explicitly discussed by the characters, the CN Tower, Kensington Market, and various other Toronto landmarks are shown throughout the film. Lingo-savvy viewers will note that the local barfly in the arm wrestling scene uses the Canadian term chocolate bars instead of the American candy bars. Okay,
ah,
there
interesting.
you
I
go.
didn't even know that was a thing.
I don't know either. They
Uh,
claim it was. So anyway,
uh,
there you
the,
go. Lots of Toronto stuff.
there's a distinct look of the area that when I met Carrie, she lived at. It was a loft in Liberty. I don't even know if it was called Liberty Village at the time. It is now, but it was on Liberty Street there, and it was they were converted, and they were like they weren't supposed to be necessarily live work their work, but a lot of them converted to live work. So hers had a washroom in it, and a full washroom, so she lived there. And when I met her, I lived in a different area in Toronto. When we started dating and getting more serious, I moved in with her. And so we lived there for, I think, a year until we figured, okay, we need to move and go from there. We got engaged and I guess moved from there. But the whole point of that story is not for me to ramble on about that, but there's landmarks in areas of the buildings that are just, they're Toronto. And when you see them in a movie, you're like, that's the area. And I guarantee like part of that would have been the area there that possibly used for his apartment building.
It's cool, and it doesn't seem Canadian to me. Like if nobody told me that it was, even though I know Cronenberg and everything else, if I was to show this to my daughter or something, I don't think she would see and say, "Oh, it seems Canadian." I don't think that would even, you know what I mean? I just don't think.
One last thing to add. I agree with that too. But one last thing to add. And the computerized shit. Maybe to me, it didn't seem dated. Whereas in other movies, it could seem quite dated. It's the green type about that, but they simplify it so much that I think they make it work. And they and the voice activation is just a reality now, where it might have been a little bit more futuristic at the time, or possibly just used in maybe high-end security. Now you unlock it with your fucking, you can voice activate your phone, or Siri can recognize your Siri, whatever the fuck her name is. You know what I'm saying? Now that's something that was like used as a security protocol in this movie.
Dude, and that's something that's great that later on the voice recognition doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
It's just one more thing about the change. It's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely not like Alien in 79 and The Thing in 82, they seem dated. Even for the time, you know what you look at, not for the time, but looking at it now, where I agree, this one doesn't. Granted, it's 4 years later and 7 years later, but still, I agree with what you're saying, and the voice stuff and everything else. So
the thing is mostly in his chess game, looks a little dated, and some of the stuff when Blair's on the computer. But it's quick enough, but I get it. In Alien, it's limited to one or two scenes near the end, I think. But I hear you again, because the set design on Alien and the way the thing looks. What the hell did my? Oh, funny enough, that something popped up on my screen there. It's weird. It's passable. It works enough. It still doesn't seem as dated, but I get it. There's a sequence or two in there that you're like, fuck, if they just somehow are able to fine tune that. That's the only thing that kind of puts it into there. Otherwise, by the look of it and everything else, it looks like it could have been filmed last year.
I know, right? Solid. So I guess The Fly's going to make your list now, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting because again, we're not putting any parameters in the sense of like you can only have X amount from a director or something like that. Because there are directors that are going to be featured pretty predominantly in these, I think.
Dude, some people have every Halloween movie on their list. If somebody can have freaking Halloween 5 on their list, you can have as many Cronenberg movies as you want on your list, I say. Believe me, I'm looking at these lists. So it's like, whatever. Yeah. But again, I'm not laughing at them. Everybody has their own taste.
Is that a Gary Miller's thing again?
I'm not saying nothing.
Mr. Miller. Anyway, awesome. Hey, you know what? It's going to be difficult for next show, too. I can't remember what we've done or what we haven't done, but just having a look at some of those damn fucking movies, I was shocked, man. Like, here's just a couple of them off the top. The Lost Boys, Near Dark, Monster Squad, Jaws of Revenge, Slumber Party Massacre 2, The Curse, Return to Horror High, Creepazoids, The Video Dead, Slaughterhouse, Angel Heart, Berserker, The Gate, Faceless, Bad Taste, Dolls, Return to Salem's Lot, The Believers, Blood Diner, Dario Argento's Opera, The Hidden, The Majorettes, It's Alive 3, The Kindred, Open House, Prison, and Blood Frenzy. Now, I'm not saying all those are heavy hitters by any means, but I was just trying to give
Bad Taste?
I think we did Stepfather, no? I feel like we did the Stepfather.
I don't think so. Tell you what, I've never
seen Stepfather. We had done it already.
And I just watched Lost Boys a few weeks ago, so I hope that doesn't happen again. Not that I don't want to watch it.
Are you
again,
kidding me?
Wrong, but I just
No, I assume, again, my assumptions, I've been right, but there's been a couple times I've been off. I would assume it would be between Lost Boys, Near Dark, The Monster Squad, and Opera.
And I've only seen, we've done Opera already.
We've done Opera. You're right. Sorry, everybody. Manicarino is off. Opera is out. You are correct, sir.
High.
Fuck, I swear to God we did. I swear to God we did The Stepfather, but we'll have to look back.
Yeah, we've done Stage Fright. Angel Heart I've never seen, and I've always wanted to because I love.
Angel Heart and The Believers would be an interesting pair.
Yes, I would love to do those two, to be honest with you. That would be great. Yes.
Well, now that I would put a little bit of weight on those two as being options. But again, Lost Boys and Near Dark, two vampire ones, I don't know. It might be difficult for people to. Those are two heavy hitters.
I feel you. Right on. Well, we shall see.
Anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see you next show. Thanks everybody for listening. Hope we didn't get too deep before in some of that discussion because.
Fuck it.
Yeah, whatever. We'll try not to do it ever again. Don't even bring up.
Till next episode.
Oh no. Wait. So plus October's coming, so let's get our mind states on that. Oh yeah. So yeah. You got anything else before we leave, C?
No. Take care, everybody. See you next time.
Peace and love. Manchi.